Chapter 37:51. When Yi Fara heard that, he was instantly energized. Instructor Yi Shui likes to drink tea? Principal Gu also likes to drink tea? Then you really came to the right place. I really have good tea here. I'll go get it now. Boss Yi, don't take it seriously. He's joking. Yi Shui quickly said, Now I have such an important person in my hands to escort back. I can't take care of other things. So it's like this. Yi Fara had already stood up, but when he heard Yi Shui say that, he helplessly sat down again. Fayanu didn't speak at the side. He coldly said, I thought you were chatting so happily that you had forgotten about me. Forget about anyone, but not you. Yi Shui also coldly threw a sentence at him. This former friend was now a bastard who killed without batting an eyelid. He really disappointed her. That's good. Fayanu smiled. I can't wait to leave. You won't really let me stay here tonight, right? Yi Shui was stunned. She really didn't know where else to go besides here. No, you won't be treated so well. Su Yun glanced at Fayanu. I'll take you out to sea tonight. When we reach the high seas, you won't have any chance. Even if you stay here today, don't expect your black brothers to save you. It's difficult for them to protect themselves now. Do you think those damn black people are worthy of being my friends? Fayanu said coldly. He was also a black person, but he still used such vicious language to attack people of the same skin color. This was a concept that existed between black people. In the United States, black people could call each other black people, bastards, animals, and anything unpleasant was not a problem. But people of other skin colors couldn't be called like this. Once they did, it would be racial discrimination. The matter would immediately be magnified. From this point, it could be seen that the problem was no longer as simple as racial discrimination. This kind of problem was more like a concept that black people could emphasize. Once there was such a conflict, it would allow them to take the moral high ground first. Don't you think it's inappropriate to say that to your own kind? Su Yun frowned. You guys are really interesting. You can discriminate against yourselves, but you can't let others say anything bad about you. Fayanu looked at Su Yun disapprovingly. What do you want to say? If you're discriminating against us black people, then just say it. Anyway, Huaxia is the most racist place in the world. When you don't need to take responsibility for your words, you can naturally talk nonsense, Yefra said in disgust. Can you find a country that treats you fairer than Huaxia? Sanctimonious is an idiom invented by you Huaxia people to describe you Huaxia people. Fayanu mocked. The root of your Huaxia discrimination is pragmatism. Your Huaxia style racial discrimination is not just a matter of stereotype and an instinctive sense of security, but also a deeper source of pragmatism. It's just that you don't feel it. Su Yun frowned. Fayanu's words made him somewhat speechless. To put it bluntly, the vast majority of you Chinese are still subconsciously inferior in front of the so-called Caucasians. You feel superior in front of us Latinos. Fayanu continued, You don't want to admit it? If a Huaxia girl dates a Caucasian man, she will still be sourly said by you Huaxia men that she worships Caucasians. There will also be experts who will analyze the reason why you Huaxia women worship Caucasians. Even if you have already walked towards the great revival of the Huaxia people, you still don't change. Your people are still inferior. Isn't it because you think that Western countries have developed civilization? Not only was Su Yun unable to refute, but Yefra was also somewhat unable to refute. This was indeed a phenomenon that existed, and it was indeed because those Caucasian countries had developed civilization. In fact, this was not wrong. Your inferiority is because you are lowly in your bones. Fayanu became more and more energetic as he spoke. Seeing that they didn't refute, he became even more imposing. The 3 points that you are inferior to the Caucasians must be stepped on by us black people. If a Huaxia girl dates a Caucasian man, then it will be filled with all kinds of disdain and abuse. The public opinion is against the Caucasians who come to Huaxia. When they see us Caucasians, they think that we have impure motives and only want to trick Huaxia girls into bed. They think that we are poor and dirty, with all kinds of aids and security hazards. Could it be that we are wrong? Why do you look down on the Caucasians? Because most of the Caucasians are poorer than you. Because you think that you are more civilized and rich. So why should your girls let the Caucasians sleep with them? All the poor Caucasians are portrayed by you as gluttonous, lazy, and waiting for aid. Fayanu spat. When Yephra heard this, he was unwilling. This is simply the reality. It is not portrayed. Let me tell you, do you know how much Hua Xia has funded to the Caucasians since the founding of the country? Hua Xia has built close to 300 infrastructure projects with the aid of the Caucasians. There are close to 200 transportation facilities, close to 100 power facilities, and close to 100 communication facilities. Of course, Fayanu did not know this. What he saw was the performance of some people in the country. Hua Xia has provided aid to dozens of poor Caucasians. It has built more than 1,000 complete sets of projects involving industry, agriculture, infrastructure, culture, education, health, and many other fields. It has sent hundreds of thousands of technical personnel. Since the founding of the country, a conservative estimate is that Hua Xia has provided aid to the poor Caucasians for more than $300 billion. Yephra was angry. In our country, there are so many children who can't afford to go to school, our compatriots who live in the mountains, and the development and construction of the country need money. Our own people can't even afford to buy houses, yet they still need aid. Do those who are aided know what gratitude is? If they knew what gratitude is, they wouldn't have illegally entered Hua Xia, and they wouldn't have done some stupid things in Hua Xia. Whenever the Caucasians were mentioned, most people would think of labels such as ignorance, backwardness, poverty, danger, filth, disease, and so on. Could it be that it was made up out of nothing? Or was it really like that? Su Yun didn't refute Fayanu, because he was lost in thought. He thought of the 19th century, when the Western world, under the fear of the Yellow Peril, thought that the Hua Xia people were the evil Lord Man. They invented a well-known character called Fu Manzhou, who was known as the evilest person in the world. This was a tall, thin, bald man with 2 long eyebrows and a sinister face. According to the description of the writer Romo, this was actually the personification of the Yellow Peril. This fictional image was filmed in more than a dozen movies and written in a lot of novels, specifically depicting this dangerous and barbaric Eastern Hua Xia people. At that time, Fu Manzhou integrated all the bad imaginations in the minds of Westerners about the Hua Xia immigrants. They were not only dangerous, but they could also subvert the civilized Western society at any time. This scene seemed to be somewhat familiar with the current Hua Xia people who were worried about the Caucasians subverting the civilized Eastern society. Thinking of this, Su Yun had some introspection. When a group of people thought that they were more civilized, the thinking of racial discrimination had long been rationalized in this sense of superiority. This kind of logic was very feudal, pragmatic, and economic. But this kind of pragmatism ultimately hurt oneself. People who discriminated against others would fall into the chain of discrimination. You just scolded the Caucasians. You even discriminate against your own people. How do you have the face to live? Yi Fala was still indignant. Fayanu retorted, "Do you think that you Hua Xia people don't discriminate against you Hua Xia people? Ha ha, I have lived in Shenzhongxing for many years, and I have long seen the face of you Hua Xia people. You also discriminate against your own people. You Hua Xia people's resistance and prejudice are also deeply rooted. It's just that the race has been replaced by the region." Yi Fala once again fell into a disadvantageous position in the war of words. The first-tier cities look down on the second-tier cities, the second-tier cities look down on the third-tier cities, the economically prosperous regions look down on the backward and poor mountain villages, the coastal cities look down on the northwest inland, saying that Hunan people steal well covers, saying that Wenzhou people are profiteers, and when they see Xinjiang people, they hide far away, treating them as terrorists. Fayanu angrily rebuked, "The discrimination between you Hua Xia people is even more obvious. The regions with more advanced and modern economic development subconsciously reject immigrants from other places. They feel that social disorder, smashing, and cheating are all caused by these foreigners. You Shenzhongxing people are the typical xenophobic. In your eyes, The people from other places in Huaxia are all rural people, and you are the only ones who are noble. That drug addict trash Zhou Libo is a typical example. It's just that you don't feel it. Chapter 3752. Although their dispute was deep and fiery, Su Yun didn't care at all. Su Yun suddenly felt that if he wanted to put an end to this kind of self-awareness, he had to first establish a kind of self-awareness. No one was born inferior, no matter rich or poor, no matter where they came from. The first thing to do was to look at people as people. This was the source of human dignity. People who always felt that they were being discriminated against often felt that they were inferior to others. That was why they felt that way. If they didn't think so, they wouldn't have that kind of feeling. If black people didn't feel that they were black people, they wouldn't scold each other like that. Even if other people said so, they wouldn't take it seriously. Moreover, dignity was fought for by oneself. If you feel that you black people don't get enough respect, then learn to respect others first. Su Yun finally said, if you change, others will naturally change their view of you. Fianu didn't expect Su Yun to suddenly interject, and he didn't react to how to refute Su Yun. After all, Su Yun was the boss of the Sky Entertainment Group and mixed in the film and television industry. Although he was an unreliable boss, under the influence of Zhuo Meiyan, Ruan Qingshuang, and others, he also had a deep understanding of the development of film and television in various countries around the world. For some reason, Su Yun suddenly thought of the change in the image of Huaxia on the screen in Western movies. Do you know how big the change in Huaxia and yellow people in Western countries was from the evil image of Fu Manzhou to the Red Storm? Su Yun said, let me tell you, from Fu Manzhou to the Red Storm, the image of Huaxia and yellow people in Hollywood movies experienced significant changes in a period of time. This change was accompanied by the rise of Huaxia's international status and cultural self-confidence, as well as the respect earned by the yellow people themselves. Fianu also understood the yellow peril of the 19th century, and he knew what Su Yun wanted to say. At that time, the incarnation of the yellow peril, Fu Manzhou, was active in the Western movie industry. His treacherous and evil image was always secluded in the dark world. He was proficient in all kinds of torture and poison, and he planned all kinds of evil deeds. He was the embodiment of all the worst imaginations that Westerners had of the Chinese people in the East. The movie usually ends with the white man defeating the other race and Fu Manzhou being punished to death. Su Yun said faintly, there's another image of Detective Charlie Chen. He's gentle, witty, and submissive to Caucasians. Other than his thick accent, he rarely mentions Huaxia. He represents the ideals and expectations that white people have for Huaxia. That was 100 years ago. There's nothing to talk about, Fianu said. In the eyes of the white people, you yellow people are actually as lowly as us. You are also people of color. Su Yun frowned. All right, then I'll say it's not that far away. You've seen Year of the Dragon, right? The story of a white police officer who retired from the Vietnam War tried to eradicate the underworld forces in New York's Chinatown with the attitude of punishing evil and promoting good, portraying the image of the filthy Chinatown and the evil and ferocious Chinese. That's how you look in the eyes of white people. Fianu glared. But with the expansion of Huaxia's cultural influence, the Disney Princess series also put on the coat of Huaxia's classical culture. The story of Hua Mulan replacing her father in the army was transformed into a classic Hollywood story of heroic adventure. Su Yun said, this is the recognition that the yellow people fought for themselves. Fianu snorted. Self-righteous. Have you seen Kung Fu Panda? That's even more integrated with the traditional thinking of Huaxia of Confucianism and Taoism. In the film, Po's master is a character who has a deep understanding of Huaxia's martial arts connotation and philosophy. He understands what it means to teach according to one's aptitude and knows what it means to educate without discrimination. These are the contents of Confucianism. Su Yun said, after the Olympics and the World Expo, Huaxia's international status continued to rise. Huaxia also appeared in mainstream Hollywood movies again and again with a positive, and leading image. Fianu still disagreed. Hollywood movies will always have white people, yellow people, and black people. That's because they're worried about being scolded for racism. The last line of defense for all mankind in the Pacific Rim was set up in Hua Xia, Hong Kong, and Macau. The mecha made by Hua Xia, the Crimson Storm, was an important part of the movie. In the disaster movie 2012, Noah's Ark made by Cho Ming Valley became the world's last refuge. China's space station, Tiangong No. 1, even became the Garden of Eden to save Sandra Bullock. As Su Yun said this, he suddenly laughed. Yes, on the screen, he had already seen the rise of Hua Xia. Respect always needed to be fought for by oneself. If Hua Xia wasn't strong enough, if Hua Xia didn't have the ability to explore the universe at all, the movie plot wouldn't have this. In the 19th century, the yellow people of Hua Xia weren't even as good as black people in the eyes of the developed Western countries. At least black people were still black slaves that could be domesticated. The yellow people were evil and deserved to die. But now, the insufferably arrogant Americans needed the help of Hua Xia people. This was almost an impossible plot in the past Hollywood movies. On the Shenzhou spaceship, Sandra Bullock was at a loss when faced with the pure Chinese buttons. The change in Hua Xia's image came from the recognition of Hua Xia all over the world. It came from the recognition of the yellow people all over the world. The respect between countries was fought for by Hua Xia, and the recognition between races was also fought for by the yellow people themselves. Do you know why your race still feels discriminated against? Su Yun suddenly asked. Fianu replied disdainfully, It's because you damn races always think you're infallible. You think you're very honorable. In fact, you're trash. If you want to get the respect of others, you first have to respect others. Su Yun said lightly, A race that keeps using racial equality as a reason to commit crimes and harm others will never get the respect of others. You don't have to think about reasoning with him. Yi Shuai said to Su Yun, Fianu is one of the smartest black people I know. Even he has no way to understand our thoughts. The principal was so kind to him, but he could betray us. Do you think you have anything to talk about with him? What's there to talk about with their race? Different people have different thoughts. Everyone doesn't think they're wrong. It's just that their worldview, values, and outlook on life are different from the foundation. Su Yun nodded. What Yi Shuai said made sense. It was indeed so. Different races had different outlook on life from birth. The different environment of growing up and education made their values different. The different national conditions made their worldview different. What was there to argue about? Betrayal. You said I betrayed. I can admit it. I also admit that the principal was kind to me. But I don't think his kindness should be repaid by binding me for a lifetime. Fianu stared at Yi Shuai. Haven't I done enough for him? What have you done? Yi Shuai asked. Fianu was speechless. I'm afraid you've already forgotten that the only reason you're still alive is because the headmaster brought you out of that tragic city. Yi Shuai said, Let me ask you, if now, you could only save your life by killing the principal, what would you do? Fianu was silent. He didn't need to say it. Yi Shuai knew the answer. You wouldn't hesitate to make a move on the principal. Yi Shuai said coldly, This is your concept. You don't even care about your own family for your own interests, let alone someone who saved you. Do you have any other choice for your own life? Fianu asked. Yi Shuai snorted. This is the biggest difference between our race and your race. Even if we die, we won't kill someone who saved our lives for our own survival. Why do I suddenly think of a story called The Farmer and the Snake? Yefela looked at Fianu with contempt. Your race is really like that snake. Su Yun waved his hand and said, We don't need to have this kind of meaningless argument. Yi Shuai is right. Different ideas will never be clear. Since you know that our ideas are different, why are there still so many who are willing to come to Hua Xia illegally? It's really speechless. Yefela got up and left. I'll arrange a boat right away. I hope he can leave my house tonight. He makes me very uncomfortable here. Chapter 3753. There was no doubt that Yi Fala did not welcome Fianu. No one would want such a person to stay overnight in their home. It's good to take him to the high seas earlier. I'm also worried that Qin Wan might come to our door at any time, Su Yun said calmly. Yi Shui thought that Su Yun had already discussed it with the police and asked with a little worry, "Does she not agree with you giving Fianu to me?" Su Yun nodded. Although she seems to have acquiesced, she is, after all, a police officer of Huaxia, and a police officer with principles. Maybe at some point she can't get over the hurdle in her heart and will come to our door. 80% of the reason she let you take Fianu away is because of me. But from what I know about her, she will regret it tomorrow at the latest. Why? Yi Shui asked. Because of her principles? Haha. If the entire Huaxia Judicial Department has principles like her, I won't take him away. Really? Absolutely not. I understand what you're worried about. Su Yun said, I just said that she will regret it tomorrow at the latest. Maybe she will regret it tonight. It's a good thing to leave here today. Yi Shui nodded. Of course, she agreed with Su Yun's arrangement. Hiding in the high seas for a while and waiting for the headmaster to arrange for someone to come and take Fianu back. This was the best arrangement for Yi Shui. If Qin Wan regrets it and finds out that we are not here, will she make things difficult for you? Yi Shui was worried that her departure would leave trouble for Su Yun. Su Yun shook his head. No, with the relationship between me and her, she won't make things difficult for me. At most, she will be depressed for a few days. Then I will feel very sorry for her, Yi Shui said. When there is a chance in the future, I will find a way to make up for it. There is no right or wrong in this matter. She won't blame you, Su Yun said. You don't need to feel guilty about the person who should have been handed over to you. If it weren't for your help, if it weren't for the cooperation of the police, I wouldn't have been so successful, Yi Shui said. Anyway, I want to thank her properly. I will convey your intentions. Yi Shui shook her head. Forget it. No matter how beautiful your words are, it's meaningless. Instead of worrying about these useless trifles, why don't you worry about whether you can bring me back smoothly? Fianu said sarcastically. Don't worry, before the Hunter Academy sends someone over, I'll keep an eye on you, Su Yun said. I won't give you a chance. You? Fianu was startled. Yi Shui was also surprised. You're going to the high seas with us? Of course. Su Yun, before I'm sure there's no problem, I won't throw him away like trash. No need, I can handle it myself. Yi Shui said, he's no longer a threat to me. I can deal with him. Su Yun shook his head. Perhaps you have a prior understanding of him and have a preconceived understanding of him. But I don't have any prior understanding of him, so all I feel is that he's dangerous and cunning. He can do things that you and I can't imagine in order to escape, so I don't feel at ease with him. Su Yun was right. Yi Shui did have a preconceived understanding of Fianu. The boat has been arranged. Yi Fala contacted and arranged everything. Instructor Yi Shui, please don't misunderstand. I definitely don't mean to drive you away. I also want you to stay here for a few more days. Mr. Yi, you're too polite. I can't stay for long. I understand your good intentions, Yi Shui said. If you have anything to say to Bu Fifan, I'll help you pass the message. Yi Fala said gratefully, really? That would be troublesome. I want to say. Suddenly, Yi Fala didn't know what to say because there were too many things he wanted to say. When there were too many things to say, it made people not know what to say. That was the strangest thing about people. You'd better not make things difficult for her. Su Yun smiled and interrupted Yi Fala's emotions. He was worried that Yi Fala would be depressed. You have too many things to say. If you really say them, Instructor Eel will definitely not be able to memorize them. Don't make things difficult for him. Yi Fala naturally knew Su Yun's good intentions. Yeah, why didn't I think of that? Don't waste my time, Fianu said impatiently. When are we leaving? This guy still hadn't given up on the idea of escaping. He had no chance here. If he boarded the boat and went to the open sea, even if Su Yun and Yi Shui were watching, he could still think of other ways to escape. Or when other people from the hunter school came to help, Fayanu believed that he would still have a chance to escape. So he didn't want to stay here. No one paid attention to Fayanu's complaints. Everyone went out, and Yifala drove them to the yacht club that she was familiar with. She had already contacted and bribed the people there. After arriving, they directly boarded the boat and left without wasting any time. However, as soon as the yacht started moving, Yi Shui received a call from Dongfang Fan. Things had suddenly changed. Originally, the ancient magpie world had arranged for other people to help Yi Shui and escort Fayanu back. Zhue Ming had other things to do. When Zhue Ming finished the things in his hands and reported to the ancient magpie world, the ancient magpie world told him that Fayanu had been caught by Yi Shui in Shen River. When he heard this, Dongfang Fan was excited. He had come to Shan River several times before, and his sixth sense told him that this place was not right. He had been chasing Fayanu for a long time. At this time, Dongfang Fan was in a city near Shan River. After receiving the news, he proposed to the principal that he would personally escort Fayanu back because Fayanu was too dangerous. He didn't trust others to do this, and he was close to Shan River anyway. The ancient magpie world immediately approved Dongfang Fan's application. Dongfang Fan rushed to Shen River while contacting Yi Shui. Yi Shui received the call and heard that he would rush over immediately. Her heart, which had been suspended in mid-air, finally settled down. After Yi Shui told the news to Su Yun was naturally overjoyed. With Zhue Ming personally escorting Fayanu back, even if Fayanu was not injured, it would be impossible for him to escape. Then let's wait for him to come and listen to his arrangements. Su Yun smiled. As an outsider, he arranged this because Yi Shui was injured, and he was worried that Fayanu would escape. Now that Zhue Ming was here, Su Yun naturally could no longer interfere with the matters of the hunter school. This was the most basic respect. They waited for about 40 minutes, and Dongfang Fan drove over according to the address Yi Shui sent him. The capable man stepped forward to express his gratitude to Su Yun. Sorry to trouble you again. I will remember Mr. Su's favor to our hunter school. If you need anything in the future, just let me know. You're welcome. Su Yun smiled and said, Since instructor Zhue Ming is here, I am relieved. If there is anything I can help with, just let me know. If Mr. Su can arrange for someone to send us to the high seas, I will be very grateful. Dongfang Fan was a straightforward person. Su Yun nodded. Of course, no problem. We originally planned to go to the high seas, Yi Shui said. Dongfang Fan thanked him again. Then I will have to trouble Mr. Su. I just need someone to send us to the high seas. I have already arranged for someone to meet us there. Don't tell me I am talkative. You are not going to escort this guy back by sea, are you? Su Yun was a little worried. After all, the journey by sea was too slow and too far. There would be many opportunities for Fayanu. Dongfang Fan smiled. Of course not. Don't worry, Mr. Su. The people I contacted in Okinawa have prepared a plane for us. I will escort Fayanu back in the fastest way. I will never give him any chance to escape. After Dongfang Fan arrived, Fayanu had never raised his head. He had a special reverence for Dongfang Fan from the bottom of his heart, so he did not even dare to raise his head to look at him. If he could, Fayanu was willing to choose to keep his head down all the way. As long as he could avoid Dongfang Fan's gaze, he would rather do so. Then I will take my leave. Su Yun smiled. Have a safe journey. See you later. Chapter 3754. Qin Wan interrogated the Legend of Legend in person, and the Legend of Legend confessed to everything his father had done. He confessed all the people he knew who his father had connections with. It seemed that he would rather confess 1,000 times than let go of one. In the meantime, the Legend of Legend confessed everything about his father and his father-in-law. He sounded as if he wanted Qin Wan to send someone to kill his father-in-law's family right now. All the people I mentioned had close financial connections with my father. I won't tell you how he got the money. The legend said, you should know better than me how they operate. I don't know either. My father didn't let me take part in it. So, you are only responsible for helping your father transfer the money abroad through the casinos in Australia. Qin Wan listened carefully to every word the legend said. Every word of this guy could give her a huge breakthrough in the case. The legend said, "You can't convict me because of this. Let me make it clear first. I'm a citizen of the American Empire. I want to contact the American consulate. I'm just gambling in the casinos in Australia. Gambling is not illegal in Australia. I don't know anything about how my father makes money in China. I've said everything I should say. You can't abuse your power." Abuse my power? Qin Wan frowned. Did I torture you? Or did I do something else to you? I don't care what you did. I have the right to ask the American consulate for protection. The legend said, I'm not a citizen of Huaxia. You have no right to do this to me. I have no right. Qin Wan snorted. I'm telling you, even if you have changed your nationality, you are still a suspect in Huaxia. As a police officer, I have the right to interrogate you legally. Su Yun is also a suspect. Why didn't you arrest him? The legend of legendary scolded him. He let the murderer go. His people took the murderer away. He is guilty of covering up. Why don't you arrest him? You Huaxia police officers are all garbage. You have no principles. Qin Wan was angry. Shut up. While speaking, she had already grabbed the table lamp on the interrogation table. If the legendary battle pet warrior continued to provoke her, she would probably hit the legendary battle pet warrior on the head. The legend was so scared that he closed his eyes. Fortunately, Qin Wan controlled her emotions and did not smash him. Regarding the issue of letting Fianu go, Qin Wan was already very conflicted. Now that the legend had to force her with this matter, how could she not be angry? If you dare to hit me, I'll sue you. I want a lawyer. Although the legend was still yelling, his momentum was far weaker than before. Qin Wan glared at legend. Do you think this is your American empire? Let me tell you, this is Huaxia. Even if you find a lawyer, it's useless. Those lawyers in capitalist countries who only work for money are not in Huaxia. Then I request to contact the U.S. Embassy. If you don't agree, you will be violating international regulations. Do you know that this will affect the relationship between the two countries? The legend of legendary said seriously. Violating international regulations? Tell me which one. Qin Wan disdainfully said, Let me tell you, even if I violate it, the U.S. Empire will not offend Huaxia because of you, and the relationship between the two countries will not be affected because of you. Who do you think you are? The legend of legendary could not say a word because of Qin Wan's words. He was ashamed and angry. Before the whole case is solved, no relevant department of the U.S. Empire will notice that you have been caught by us. Qin Wan severely attacked the legend of legendary's psychological endurance. I have cooperated with you so much and said so many things that I shouldn't have said. Why are you still doing this to me? The legend of legendary looked at Qin Wan puzzled. If I knew you would treat me like this, I wouldn't have said anything. I didn't say that I would let you go if you confessed to your father, Qin Wan said. You are also an important criminal in this economic case. No matter what, it is impossible to reduce your punishment. The legend of legendary was so angry that he crazily hit the table twice. I want to report you. I want to report you. I want to report you for disrespecting the citizens of the U.S. Empire and not giving me the power I deserve. I also want to report you for deliberately letting that bastard Su Yun go because he protected the murderer. You are colluding with him. You are neglecting your duty. You are abusing your power. If you have a place to report and complain, go ahead. Qin Wan did not care about him. But now you can do nothing but hold it in. Qin Wan left after saying that. No matter how much the legend of legendary yelled, he could not escape the fate of being detained. After Qin Wan walked out of the interrogation room, Manu went up to her and told her that the director wanted to see her. Okay, I see. Qin Wan nodded. I will leave this guy to you. You better keep him quiet in the detention room. Don't worry. Man Yu nodded and asked two people to take the Legend of Legendary to the detention room. The guy was fast enough to confess. His woman was still gritting her teeth in the interrogation room. Even in the detention room, the Legend of Legendary did not give up struggling. He shouted, "You have no right to detain me. I have the right to contact the embassy of the U.S. Empire. You are violating human rights. Darkness. You are too dark. Are you done yelling? If you are, then shut up." Man Yu rolled her eyes at the Legend of Legendary. She was just like Qin Wan when she first joined the police force. She was not afraid of anything. The Legend of Legendary stared at Man Yu. He was not afraid of her. Even the deputy director did not dare to do anything to him. Of course, he was not afraid of a young policewoman. "I have freedom of speech. You have no right to make me shut up." "I have no right to make you shut up?" Man Yu frowned. "Do you want to try? What do you want?" The Legend of Legendary was stunned. Man Yu had rolled up her sleeves. She looked like she was going to beat him up. "If you dare to touch me, I will sue you. I will sue you until you lose your job." The Legend of Legendary was scared. Although she was just a girl, she had been to the police school. She should know some basic fighting skills. The Legend of Legendary was a weakling who had no fighting ability at all. If they really fought, he was not confident that he could beat Man Yu. "Do you believe that I cannot accuse you of assaulting a police officer after I hit you here?" Man Yu cracked her knuckles. "And I can find anyone here to testify that you assaulted a police officer." The Legend of Legendary was speechless. When a police officer stood in front of him and attacked him in a shameless way, he really had no way to deal with her. "No. No. You don't dare. You don't dare to do this." The Legend of Legendary shook his head. "Don't touch me. I tell you, I have also practiced boxing." The Legend of Legendary said to Man Yu seriously, "Do I need to do it myself to deal with you? Are you kidding me?" Man Yu said disdainfully. She saw two people pass by in the corridor. She directly shouted, "This bastard assaulted a police officer. He hit me." As soon as Man Yu shouted, the two young policemen quickly rushed over and broke into the room. Before the Legend of Legendary realized what was going on, the two people's fists hooked on his stomach. His lunch was almost knocked out. "How dare you assault a police officer? Squat down and behave yourself." The Legend of Legendary was directly knocked down by the two punches. When he curled up on the ground, he was also kicked hard. I didn't assault a police officer." "You don't want to admit it. Assault a police officer and you don't want to admit it. You don't want to admit it." As soon as he finished speaking, a big foot kicked on the Legend of Legendary's ribs again. "Do you want to admit it or not?" The Legend of Legendary was afraid of pain. He hurriedly begged for mercy. "I admit it. I admit it. Assault a police officer. Assault a police officer." Hearing the Legend of Legendary admit it, the two young policemen surrounded the Legend of Legendary and kicked him more than a dozen times. Okay. When Man Yu spoke, the two of them just stopped. They looked at Man Yu with special concern and asked nervously, "Are you hurt?" "Man Yu, leave this guy to us. It's too dangerous for you to stay with this kind of person. Go back to the office and have a rest." "It's okay. You have taught him a good lesson. He won't dare to be fierce to me again." Man Yu shook her head. "You guys go and do your work. Deputy Chief Qin asked me to stay here and watch him. I'd better stick to my post. Then if this guy still has any bad intentions, you immediately shout for help. I'll be the first one to come over." The two of them fought to be the first one to show their good intentions. After all, Man Yu was the most beautiful woman in the bureau, second only to Qin Wan. However, Deputy Chief Qin's rumored boyfriend was Su Yun. Nobody dared to think too much about it. So, they were more attentive to Man Yu. Chapter 3755. Okay, I will. Thank you. Manu smiled and nodded at the two of them. Go and do your work. You've been working overtime for a long time. When we're done with this case, I'll ask Director Chin to treat everyone to hot pot. The two young police officers left happily with a satisfied smile on their faces. Manu said thank you to them. They would definitely be invited to Chin Bureau's hot pot. After the two left, Manu looked at Legend again. How is it? Do you still want to shout? I was wrong. I know I was wrong. Legend didn't dare to provoke Manu anymore. This girl looked like a white rabbit, but she was a demon inside. He looked harmless to humans and animals, but when it came to scheming against people, it didn't take any effort at all. You know you were wrong, but you still did it. I think you need to be taught a lesson. Manu said, do you want me to call 2 more people to teach you a lesson? No. I don't know I was wrong. I don't know. Legend kept shaking his head. You don't know? You made a mistake, but you don't know you were wrong? I think you really need to be taught a lesson. Manu turned her head and pretended to call people. Then tell me, should I know or not? Legend was really scared of her. He couldn't make her satisfied no matter what he said. Manu humphed. You are really a loser with such little understanding. Legend didn't dare to say anything. He just lowered his head and listened. Let me tell you, Chin Bureau is already working very hard. She has a headache. You better not make trouble for her. Manu glared at him and said, if you dare to shout that she let go of the suspect of harboring a murderer, I guarantee that your mouth will not be able to speak anymore. The legendary battle pet warrior swallowed his saliva. If you don't believe me, you can try and shout for me. Manu said, let's see if your mouth is faster than mine. Legend didn't know what Manu was going to do, but if she wanted to make him speechless, she only needed to do something to his tongue. Because he was afraid that this inner demon would really do something unexpected, the legend could only shut his mouth and shake his head. He was afraid that if he made Manu unhappy, she would really pull out his tongue or cut his throat. Very good. Manu said, if I had known that you were such a coward, I would have threatened you earlier. Then, Chin Ju wouldn't have been forced to undergo training because of you. The Legend of Legend didn't know what Manu meant, but he didn't dare to ask. He just stayed in the corner and didn't move. If he didn't want to get beaten up, he should just lie down obediently. This was what the meat shield had told him before. If he was unlucky enough to stumble into a black area and get kidnapped by the gang, then he should just find a corner and squat down obediently without saying a word. This was the only way to reduce the possibility of him being beaten. Legend remembered those words very clearly. He had spent most of his time in the United States, but he was not familiar with the territory of the United States, nor was he familiar with the culture of the United States, nor was he familiar with the black people of the United States. Therefore, he didn't know the characteristics of the black man's area, and entering it by mistake was unavoidable. If he couldn't avoid these situations from happening, this was his way of protecting himself, so he remembered it very clearly. At this moment, the Legend of Legend missed his personal bodyguard very much. If he hadn't listened to his father and brought the meat shield with him all the time, maybe these things wouldn't have happened one after another. Since he lost money in the gambling in Australia, what happened next was like a lit fuse that couldn't be stopped. The setbacks made the Legend of Legend lose hope. If it continued like this, he really didn't know how long he could hold on. Manu said that Chin Weiner was harmed by the Legend of Legend because the director asked her to go to the office because the Legend of Legend kept yelling. What the hell is going on? I think you should explain it to me. The director said to Chin Weiner, you have a very bright future. You know it clearly. A criminal suspect accused you of neglecting your duty, saying that you let go of a person who protected a murderer. If this is spread out, how can you keep your position in the future? I'm sorry, Director. Chin Weiner was also helpless. She couldn't control the mouth of the Legend of Legend. The director loved Chin Weiner too much. He thought highly of Chin Weiner, so he felt sorry for her when she made a mistake. He had to remind her that she could not be like this. She had to avoid all the rumors, which was the best for her future. It's useless to say sorry to me. I didn't come here to apologize to you. What you need to do now is to solve the problem. The director said. Qin Weiner nodded. I will solve the problem. Is it really like what he said? The director frowned. You should at least explain it to me clearly. I have nothing to explain. Qin Weiner shook her head. I believe that God is watching what people do. Justice is in people's hearts. What do you want me to say about you? The director didn't know whether to laugh or cry. I don't believe you are the kind of person who neglects your duty. Since you came to work in Shenzhen, everything you do is worthy of your badge. Qin Weiner said seriously, Thank you for your trust, director. I still have a lot to do, and there are still many areas where I am lacking. Then tell me, how much time do you plan to use to catch the murderer? The director said, in other words, how much time do you plan to use to catch the guy who sheltered the murderer and helped the murderer escape? Qin Weiner bit her lips. There is no such thing as sheltering a murderer. But that guy has been emphasizing this problem. The director said, if you can't explain this matter clearly, I'll have to ask him. Qin Weiner nodded. If you have doubts about me, you can ask anyone. You always have such a temper. The director sighed. I don't care what happened, but I know that it has something to do with Mr. Su. I know his identity is not ordinary. He has made great contributions to Shenzhen, but there are some things I still hope you can consider carefully. Yes, Qin Weiner said. The director waved his hand. Go, do what you should do. I believe you will make the right choice. Qin Weiner raised her head and looked at the director. Then she saw the director's badge, turned around and left without saying anything. After leaving the director's office, Qin Weiner went downstairs and drove away. She was going to find Su Yun. Yes, to find Su Yun. She hoped that Su Yun could understand her. It was her duty. As the director said, everything she did should be worthy of her badge. No matter what, she had to fight for it. The director also went to see Legend after Qin Weiner left. Of course, Man Yu had been keeping an eye on Legend. When she saw the bureau chief, she was also confused. How did things become so serious? The question that the director asked about the legendary battle pet warrior was what Man Yu was most worried about. Man Yu's heart was in her throat. You said that Qin Weiner knew that someone let the murderer of your father go, but she didn't hold him responsible, right? The director asked. Legend opened his eyes wide and looked up at the man in front of him. He wanted to say yes, but the beautiful girl behind the man made him tremble. Man Yu stared at Legend's eyes fiercely, as if she was warning him. If he dared to talk nonsense, she would teach him a lesson. Yes, that's right. If he dared to talk nonsense, she would pull out his tongue. The legendary battle pet warrior had no choice but to close his mouth when he saw the ferocious glare. He didn't know why, but he no longer dared to speak carelessly. This was because he recognized a serious problem from the bottom of his heart. This was Hua Xia. It was different from the American Empire. If the police didn't let him see his lawyer, he couldn't see his lawyer at all. If they didn't let him contact the embassy, he couldn't contact the embassy at all. Everything here seemed to be decided by the police, so Legend didn't know what he could say and what he couldn't say. He was beaten up for no reason and was accused of assaulting a police officer. He didn't dare to talk nonsense anymore. Chapter 3756. Say something. The director frowned unhappily. Legend had been yelling endlessly, but he didn't say anything after seeing him. Seeing that Legend didn't say anything, Man Yu was relieved. The director looked back at Man Yu confusedly. Man Yu immediately pretended that nothing had happened and looked at the director with a confused and innocent look. What's wrong with him? Hasn't he been yelling since he was arrested and interrogated? Why did he suddenly stop talking? The director frowned and asked. Man Yu shook her head. I don't know, director. Maybe he realized that he couldn't get away with it after the interrogation, so he blamed himself and felt too ashamed to talk. The director stared at Man Yu. Don't talk nonsense. Is he that kind of person? Why did he suddenly stop talking? What did you do? I didn't do anything, Manu said quickly. Manu hurriedly said, just now, you asked me to inform Chief Cheen that you have something to discuss with him, so I went to look for Chief Cheen. I just happened to see him being sent to the detention room, so I brought him over. He hasn't said anything since. Didn't he always scold Cheen Weiner for neglecting her duty? What is he up to now? The director didn't understand. He looked at Legend from head to toe. What do you want to do? Legend didn't say anything, nor did he move. He was complaining in his heart. I don't want to do anything. I just want you to stop torturing me. I won't say anything anymore. A coward who had no backbone in his bones was really easy to tame. Even Manu was puzzled. Could it be that after a few hits, this guy had already given in? He was totally different from other criminals who were arrested for committing crimes. Are you dumb? The bureau chief raised his voice, obviously a little angry. Although I don't know what tricks you want to play on me, I'm telling you, you're already a prisoner. You'd better put those messy thoughts of yours into your own mind. Think about how to protect yourself. The director was also worried that this guy would put a bad label on him. In this society where the pressure of public opinion was huge, he didn't want to be splashed with dirty water because of this case. Some people who wanted to harm him would definitely wait for this opportunity to create public opinion for him. He couldn't give those people a chance. Director, I think he might be suffering from aphasia, Manu said. How about this, you hand him over to me. I will definitely ask him the reason. All right. The bureau chief nodded. He didn't want to waste his precious time on a mute. Remember, don't let him talk nonsense. Don't worry, director. I guarantee that, Manu said. The director said that because he was really afraid of the pressure of public opinion. However, Legend of Legend misunderstood. He thought that the director was more ruthless than Manu. If he continued to talk nonsense, he was afraid that he would be treated badly. In fact, if he were to act crazy in front of the bureau chief at this time, the bureau chief would really invite him out, pour him a cup of tea, and have a good talk with him. It was a pity that Legend of Mir had been playing in the United States for too long. He didn't know the situation in the country and wouldn't know how to solve this problem. Then I will leave this to you. Remember, you must control it well, the bureau chief said and left. Manu was relieved. She stared at Legend of Legend and said, It seems that you are quite sensible. You know that you can't talk nonsense in front of others. I beg you, as long as you let me go, I will do anything. I promise I won't talk nonsense, okay? As long as you let me go. Legend of Legend tried to negotiate with Manu. Do you think your condition is realistic? Manu said, Let me tell you, if I let you go, I will be neglecting my duty and embezzling. That is a serious crime. Why do you think I should do that? Legend of Legend looked at Manu seriously. How much do you earn a month as a policeman? Why do you care how much we earn? Manu said, Why should I tell you? Well, even if you don't tell me, I have heard about it. I heard that it is very hard to be a policeman in Shenzhen, Legend of Legend said. Manu knew what he was thinking, but since she had nothing to do now, she would just play along with him. No matter where you are, as long as you want to be a good police officer, you will have a hard time. Then do you think your salary of 7,000 a month is enough? Legend of Legend said, As far as I know, 7,000 is plus food, right? In such a big city like Shenzhen, this salary is considered low income, right? Humph. Manu said, We have a salary and food. Can't we have other subsidies? Let me tell you, we are treated very well. If we don't work hard for the people, we will not be able to live up to our salary and good treatment. Legend of Legend shook his head. In Shenzhen, no matter how good your treatment is, no matter how many subsidies you have, it is still a low income. Do you think ordinary people earn money like you parasites? Do you think you can have endless money by being an obedient dog in front of your father? Manu said, For ordinary people like us, this income is not low. If you let me go, I can give you a sum of money that you will never be able to earn in your life. Legend of Legend said, According to your salary of 10,000 a month and 120,000 a year, if you work for 40 years, it will only add up to 4,800,000. Don't calculate it, Manu said. Let me tell you, I will increase my salary. I will definitely earn more than this in my life. I will double it for you. I will give you 10 million. And I will give it to you immediately. Legend of Legends said, let me go, and I will give you 10 million right away. You can go anywhere with this money and live for the rest of your life. Why do you have to work so hard as a policeman? Manu smiled. You are really rich. Do you think I don't know what happened to your family? Do you think I don't know that you are poor after your father died? Legend of Legend snorted. Haven't you heard that a starving camel is bigger than a horse? Even if I am down and out, the money I have is not something you can imagine. Everyone knows how to talk big. Manu said helplessly, Go on, go on. I only lost my assets in Huaxia. Do you know how many assets I have in the United States? Let me tell you, any one of my sports cars is worth more than 10 million. Legend of Legends said, think about it. You only have one chance in your life. If you can seize it, you will immediately live a superior life. Man, you still didn't take it seriously. What if I can't seize it? If you can't seize it, then you. Legend of Legend didn't know what to say. Then I will still have my iron rice bowl. Manu said, as long as I work hard and live up to the people, the party, and my badge, then I can get promoted, get a higher rank, marry a prince on a white horse, and reach the peak of my life. Legend of Legend was speechless. He didn't know how to respond. Stop talking nonsense. I am not in the mood to listen to your nonsense. Manu said impatiently, do you think I have never seen money? I'm telling the truth. Think about it. However, Manu said, if you still intend to continue talking nonsense, I will immediately find someone to deal with you. What I said is also true. You should also consider it. I beg you, please give me a chance. Legend almost knelt down in front of Manu. Manu took out her phone. Let me think, who is this year's MMA champion? If he has time, let him come and serve you. It will definitely be very exciting. The legendary battle pet warrior was terrified. I was wrong. I won't talk anymore. Manu rolled her eyes at him, then slowly put her phone back into her pocket. This bastard really made people fed up with him. He was obviously such a coward, but he always wanted to find trouble. To put it bluntly, this kind of person was asking for a beating. If they were taken out and given a good beating, they would most likely improve a little. Manu really couldn't understand. After all, Chuan Shan was a very capable person. Those who could survive in Shenzhen were all powerful people. How could he raise such a useless son? Could it be that old Wang from next door had helped him? That was really hard to say. Manu felt that she had discovered a big secret. Chapter 3757. Just a few minutes after Su Yun and Yi Fala returned home, Qin Wan-er's car drove directly to the door. Before the car even turned off, Qin Wan-er opened the door and ran to knock on the door. Yi Fala opened the door and saw Qin Wan-er. She was stunned. Sister Yezi, Su Yun and the others are here, right? Qin Wan-er said as she entered the house. He just went to the bathroom, Yi Fala said, looking at the anxious Qin Wan-er with a puzzled face. Did something happen? What do you need me to do? Just tell me. Su Yun heard the sound and came out. He had just washed his hands. As soon as he saw Qin Wan-er, Su Yun roughly realized what Qin Wan-er's purpose for coming here was. You're not here to ask me for him, are you? Su Yun said directly. Yi Fala heard this and did not want to get involved. You guys take a seat first. I'll make you a cup of tea. She was a person who liked peace and quiet, so she did not hire a nanny to do anything at home. She only hired someone to clean up every week. Since Yi Fala was usually alone, there was nothing dirty or messy, so she would prepare for the guests herself. Sister Yezi, don't bother. I'll go back right away. I still have things to do at the station, Qin Wan said. Even if you have things to do, you have to have a cup of tea before you leave. Yi Fala still did what she had to do. She wanted to avoid the conversation between the two. Qin Wan might not have understood her meaning. Su Yun gestured for Qin Wan to sit down, but Qin Wan did not have any other thoughts. Where is he? Didn't we agree that Fianu was a traitor to the hunter school? It's more appropriate to hand him over to the hunter school for punishment than to leave him here, Su Yun said directly. Why did you change your mind so quickly? Qin Wan said, I did before. But I thought it through. After all, this is against my principles. Is this a principle? Su Yun said. Or at least, this is not an important principle. In this matter, I think the principle should be to let Fianu get the punishment he deserves. This is the important principle. As for who will punish him, these are not important principles at all. He committed the crime of murder in Huaxia. We should sentence him to death, Qin Wan said. Just give him to me. Why must it be like this? Su Yun asked. Qin Wan said, if you take him away, in theory, you are protecting a murderer and escaping the punishment of Huaxia's law. You have committed the crime of covering up. If I still stand on your side, it means that I have committed the crime of neglecting my duty and abusing my power. So, Su Yun smiled bitterly. This guy was really something. He actually went back on his word because he couldn't get over his psychological barrier. You're overthinking it, you know? Su Yun said helplessly, let me tell you, as long as he is punished, you have done the right thing. You don't have to care about those rigid rules. Be flexible. You don't have to teach me how to be flexible. Right now, I regret doing this. Qin Wan said, I can't let you become a criminal of covering up because of this matter, so I have to take him back. Yi Fala served the tea to the two of them and then turned to leave again. He thought that it was a bit too late to ask for him now. But you can't take him back, Su Yun said. Even if I wanted to give him to you now, I can't. Qin Wan's face changed. What do you mean? Did he really run away? Su Yun shook his head. In my hands, he definitely won't run away. He can't even think about running away. It's just, I have already given him to someone else, so. I know you gave him to Yi Shui. If you don't know what to say, you can ask Yi Shui to come out. I will talk to her, Qin Wan said. I believe she wouldn't want you to become a criminal of covering up. Yi Shui has already left, Su Yun said bluntly. Fianu has also been taken away by her. Qin Wan's eyes widened. What do you mean? Someone has already taken my place to supervise Fianu. That's why I sent them away. Su Yun said, even if I tell you to follow that route and use the fastest speed to catch up, I'm afraid that by the time you catch up, you will have already left the territorial waters. Qin Wan understood Su Yun's meaning. They went to the high seas? Su Yun nodded. Yes, the boat has already been out for a while. It is a small boat that is quite fast. It won't be easy to catch up with it. You really committed the crime of covering up. Qin Wan sighed helplessly. Hearing Qin Wan say that, Yi Fala finally couldn't hold it in anymore. She had already left and came back again. Her voice was a bit unhappy. Qin Wan, if you say that, it's not right. What do you mean by covering up? Qin Wan knew that what she said was indeed a bit excessive. She could understand why Yi Fala was angry. Su Yun smiled and smoothed things over. The crime of covering up is when you know that someone has committed a crime but still provide him with a place to hide, give him money, help him escape, or falsify evidence to cover up the crime. If you put it that way, I'm right. I did help him escape. You shut up. I didn't ask you to speak. Yi Fala glared at Su Yun. Sister Yezi, don't be angry, Qin Wan said. I know that I'm too serious. Some words may not be pleasant to hear. It's not just unpleasant to hear. There are some words that you shouldn't say at all. Yi Fala glared and said, let me tell you. If it weren't for Su Yun, Do you think that the police could control Fayanu? Do you know who he is? He is a master, and a very powerful master. He is not someone that you can easily catch. Qin Wana knew that if she didn't let Yi Fala say a few words at this time, she would definitely feel aggrieved. But Qin Wan really didn't mean what she thought, and she definitely didn't mean to blame Su Yun. If it weren't for Su Yun, even if your people could catch that guy, at least 8 or 10 of them would have died. Yi Fala said, "You don't want to hear what I'm saying. Even if it's your SWAT team, 5 out of 10 people are good-for-nothings who use connections to get in. What else can they do besides being cannon fodder?" Su Yun smiled bitterly and said, "All right, it's fine if you just say a few words. Why are you talking so long? I'm telling the truth. He was caught by you and controlled by you. How can you be covering up for him?" Yi Fala said. "She doesn't mean that. She's saying that if that's the case, according to the principles, my behavior is close to covering up for him," Su Yun said. "That won't do. He was subdued by you. Why are you covering up for him?" Yi Fala said firmly, "This Fayanu is a killer. He has done more than 1 or 2 cases in Hua Xia. The police have been unable to catch him. Now that you have caught him, you want to deal with him according to what you think is the right way. Is that covering up for him? Why? If you have the ability, the police can catch him yourself. If you don't have the ability, don't talk nonsense." Su Yun thought about it. "It's not as serious as you say." "How is it not?" "In my opinion, this matter is that serious." Yi Fala said, "Why?" "I'm sorry, Sister Yi. I was indeed a little rash in this matter." Qin Wan-er's apology was sincere. "It's just that the legend has been shouting and talking nonsense in the bureau. If I don't deal with this matter, I really don't know how to solve it." Su Yun said, "What's done is done. Even if you want to arrest me, I will cooperate with you." "Of course I can't arrest you. Although I said that you committed the act of covering up for someone, there is an essential difference between you and covering up for a criminal." Qin Wan-er quickly shook her head. "It seems that you are not so pedantic and ignorant that you are hopeless." Yi Fala sighed. "Well, isn't that guy talking nonsense? You take me to him. I will talk to him. I will see if he dares to talk nonsense again." Qin Wan-er was in a difficult position. She couldn't let Yi Fala meet the legend. Su Yun said, "In fact, it's nothing. Just let him talk. If there is really anything that needs my cooperation, I will go and make a statement. I will tell the truth. You have no reason to convict me of anything. After all, I am just an ordinary citizen. The other party is a murderer. It is reasonable that I can't control him. It's nothing. You don't have to explain." Qin Wan-er was still struggling in her heart. "I will think of a way myself." Chapter 3758. "If that be asterisk star's nonsense is affecting you, I'll go and make a statement. It can at least relieve some of your pressure," Su Yun said. "I'll go." Qin Wan-er shook her head. "The so-called pressure from the outside world is nothing to me. I'm just a bit sad about my own heart." Yi Fala advised, "You're living by the rules. You always like to live by the rules and regulations. That's why it's hard for you to break free from them." "I'm right? Actually, as long as you open up a bit and don't put so much pressure on yourself, you won't have this kind of thought." Qin Wan-er smiled slightly. She knew that Yi Fala said this with good intentions, but she was different from her. All the education that Qin Wan-er received since she was young, her family environment, and everything taught her to be an upright and principled person. That was why her life had always been so disciplined. Her world was different from Yi Fala's. That was why, although she understood what Yi Fala said, she couldn't understand or agree with it. Yi Fala didn't have such a good environment. She could survive and establish herself in Shenzhen because of fate and the man who gave her the chance to continue living in this world. Before she met Su Yun and the others, she didn't even think that committing a crime was wrong. As long as she could survive, as long as she could get what she wanted, Yi Fala felt that any method could be used. That was the biggest difference between the two of them. One always did things by the rules and principles. No matter if it was the result or the process, they had to pay attention to it and couldn't cross the line. The other never did things by the rules and principles. They didn't care about the process and only cared about the result. As long as it was harmless to them, they wouldn't cross the line. That was why the way they judged things was in two completely different directions. Yi Farah's advice to Qin Wan could be said to be meaningless and ineffective. I more or less have some responsibility for this matter. Qin Wan smiled. She wasn't afraid of taking responsibility, but she couldn't get over the hurdle in her heart. This was something that many people could not understand. Qin Wan knew that her thoughts were laughable in the eyes of most people. If she said it out loud, most people who heard her thoughts would scold her for being brainless, or for being retarded. Because of her personality, she had caused a lot of trouble for Su Yun in the past. If it was someone else, they would have ignored her. However, Su Yun chose to help her because Su Yun could understand her and knew what she was thinking. Most people couldn't understand or even hate her lofty behavior and thoughts. However, Su Yun could understand her. That was why Qin Wan had different feelings for Su Yun compared to other men. Recently, there had been a popular comparison on the internet. Mr. Left and Mr. Right. He gave a very common example. For example, when a person ran into a wall when looking for a job, Mr. Zhua would say, "Do your best, believe in yourself, and you'll definitely succeed next time." Mr. Yu would ask the girl to send her resume for a look, and then help to find a suitable recruitment unit. For example, when a sales task was not completed, Mr. Zhua would say, "Just try your best, and you're already very good." Mr. Yu would say, "My friend's company can get some orders to help solve some practical problems." For example, when the weather was cold, Mr. Zhua would say, "Drink more hot water." Mr. Yu would say, "Buy a down jacket." Another example, when a person caught a cold, Mr. Zhua would say, "Drink more hot water." Mr. Yu would say, "I bought medicine and ginger. Don't take medicine if it's not serious." Another example, when a person had menstrual pain, Mr. Zhua would still say, "Drink more hot water." Mr. Yu would say, "I heard that it's better to get married. Why don't you try marrying me?" Anyway, a group of girls were moved and crazily reposted it. For Qin Wan Su Yun was really not the kind of Mr. Yu who was like a spare tire. Su Yun was not a careful person, and he didn't know how to make a girl happy. Of course, Su Yun was not the simple-minded Mr. Zhua. He was a man who liked to use actions to solve problems. This was the reason why Qin Wan had feelings for Su Yun. For Qin Wan the so-called misters were represented some people who didn't know how to be romantic and didn't understand a girl's mind. Although this kind of man couldn't win a girl's favor, he was definitely the kind of man who wouldn't cause any emotional debt or ill-fated relationship. This was because this kind of man was generally the life of being dumped, and he didn't know why he was dumped. The so-called Mr. Yu sounded very beautiful. He was definitely the Prince Charming in every girl's heart. He knew how to be romantic and create an atmosphere. He could definitely coax a girl into being obsessed with him. She would love him so much that she would be unable to extricate herself. But to put it simply, this kind of man was good at sweet-talking. He often didn't lack girls around him. It was because he played with many girls that he summed up so many experiences that could make a girl fall in love with him. There was no natural flirting master in this world. Those who knew how to flirt and know how to be romantic were all trained by letting down the girls who fell in love with him one after another. Therefore, Qin Wan would rather choose a dull Mr. Zhua than a Mr. Yu who was experienced in flirting with girls. Of course, in front of a man like Su Yun who never used words to solve problems, but only used actions to solve problems, Mr. Zhua and Mr. Yu could just stand aside. No matter what, this thing happened because of me. I have the obligation to solve this problem. Su Yun said, "The best way to make the legend shut up now is to give him something that can divert his attention." Qin Wan was stunned. What is it? It can be hope, or it can be pressure. In short, it's what he wants the most now, or what he doesn't want to face the most, Su Yun said. Qin Wan seemed to understand what Su Yun meant. The legend did not feel any pressure at the moment. It was not difficult for him to confess those people. It could even be said that the legend himself wanted to confess those people. Confessing those people would be a happy thing for him. At least he would feel better. Since everyone had done the same bad thing, his family should not be the only unlucky one. Therefore, the legend did not feel any real pressure. The kind of pressure that suffocated him and forced him to bear was not there. The legend was a natural coward. Obviously, the thing he did not want to face the most was pressure. The other thing was hope. The legend wanted to see hope the most. Qin Wan did not give him any hope. The legend could not contact the American embassy, nor could he find a lawyer immediately like in other countries. As long as he spent enough money, he could get out immediately. He did not see any hope. He did not know how to face and solve the problem he was facing now. That was why he had the mind to meddle in other people's business. Anyway, he did not care about his father's death, but he could use the matter of Qin Wan covering up for Su Yun as a breakthrough point to vent. He can't control his mouth because he's too idle. I'll help him find something to do. When he realizes that there's something he can do, he naturally won't pay attention to it. It doesn't matter. If he wants to shout, he can shout, Qin Wan said. Since he dares to do it, he should dare to admit it. I didn't mean that you don't dare to admit what you did, but I was wronged in this matter. Although my behavior seemed to be covering up for Fianu, in fact, I did that because I didn't want him to escape punishment. Su Yun said, I don't like others to wrongly accuse me. Since the legend wants to do that, I will let him know not to provoke me. Qin Wan said, You won't hit him, will you? Of course not. Su Yun said, There is another reason for me to go. It is very likely that you really need me to do something that you can't solve. I think so too. These people have the ability to transfer the money out. Naturally, they have a way to escape, Yefra said. If there is no person like Su Yun, the legend will definitely not admit to the matter of the money. At that time, you can't really lynch him. Once his matter is spread out and the people of the American embassy know about it, they will definitely find trouble with you. Chapter 3759. Even if the American consulate wants to get involved, they don't have the right to take him away, right? Qin Weiner was a little stubborn. I solved the economic crime case according to Hua Xiao's laws and regulations. Legend is an important suspect in this case. No one has the right to take him away. Yifala shook his head helplessly. I told you that you are too rigid. You are always restricted by rules and regulations. You really don't disappoint me. Qin Weiner looked helpless. What can I do? I can't let the American consulate destroy my case. Think about it. Do you think the American consulate cares about your case? Yifala said, Think about it. Their dirty money flows into the American empire through various means. They want to live in the American empire permanently and get a formal identity in the American empire. They are all investing and immigrating. This is beneficial to the American empire. Whose side do you think the American empire will stand on? Qin Weiner was speechless. She was really speechless. Yifala's words made sense. The American empire had always been the first choice of escape destination for rich businessmen and shameless corrupt officials who were involved in economic crimes in Huaxia. This was because it was very difficult to catch them back. This was already something that people liked to see. There were many people who would escape to the American empire. Qin Weiner had also received some news from the Ministry of Public Security. There were hundreds of economic criminals in Huaxia who had escaped to the American empire. Half of them were corrupt officials or the white gloves of these corrupt officials. If it weren't for the fact that she was a public security officer, Qin Weiner would be like the people who had watched too many Hong Kong and American TV series. She might think that it was very easy to go to a foreign country to catch people. The police of the two countries would meet and then start to set up an inescapable net. Even if there were some communication problems and unpleasantness, it would be quickly solved by someone who was proficient in the culture of the two countries. But the reality was not like this. Qin Weiner was very clear that there was no criminal extradition treaty between the American Empire and Huaxia. So, those scenes in the movies were just empty talk. The U.S. Empire had always been the favorite destination of Huaxia's fugitives. In the past 10 years, Huaxia had only managed to bring back 2 fugitives, and one of them had been sent back by the U.S. Empire for violating immigration laws. This situation was purely due to that idiot's own personal mistake. Therefore, in principle, no matter what kind of arrest warrant Huaxia issued, it was useless to the United States. They could only go to the United States Federal Police through diplomatic channels. Moreover, the local police of the American Empire never cared about such matters. Why would they care about such trivial matters? Even if the federal police accepted this job, they could only rely on themselves to search state by state. One could imagine how difficult it would be, right? Even if they found him, so what? People loved money these days. Those who fled to the U.S. Empire were all criminals involved in the economy. They all had money. They would be safe if they took out a handful of dollars and threw it in the faces of the federal police. After all, the federal police were not saints. They were all laymen who loved money. What was even more frustrating was that it was very convenient for these people to escape to the U.S. Empire. That was what Chuan Shan did. He asked Legend to immigrate to the U.S. Empire to obtain citizenship. Then, when he wanted to go, he could ask Legend to help him apply for a green card. He could spend some money to invest in immigration. There were also people who played a simpler game. They took the opportunity to go to the U.S. Empire to play or go on a business trip to pretend to be sick and stay there. Moreover, it was not difficult to transfer assets overseas. Other than Chuan Shan's illegal transfer of funds, he could also transfer all the assets in the country to his son's name. Then, he could ask Legend to mortgage Huaxia's overseas loans to transfer some legal fixed assets that he could not take away. Anyway, the U.S. Empire supported this. This was because the money would eventually flow into the U.S. Empire. This was a good thing for the U.S. Empire. It would be strange if they did not support it. Only an idiot would refuse a rich man at the door. Yi Fala and Su Yun's worries were not unfounded. Once the U.S. Empire's consulate knew about this, they would immediately intervene to stop this from happening. As people of the U.S. Empire, they would definitely consider the interests of the U.S. Empire. They did not want the wealth that had already entered the U.S. Empire to be taken out. All in all, many things were not as beautiful as they thought. These things were quite troublesome for Qin Wan once she encountered them. The U.S. Empire's consulate would use all means, all the pressure of public opinion. In short, they would use all the means they could to directly crush Qin Wan. Once Qin Wan was crushed, Huaxia would have no choice but to return Legend to the U.S. Empire's consulate. This would be a waste of time. There is one thing I have to emphasize to you. In terms of the law, he is not Chuan Shan's son, Legend. He is a citizen of the U.S. Empire, Carlos. This is something we have to take precautions against, Su Yun said. Do you understand? Qin Wan nodded. She understood Su Yun's painstaking efforts. You all know what Legend is yelling about now. Legend has revealed all the people involved with his father. Now, once those people hear the news, they will not just be anxious like ants on a hot pan. They will definitely use all the means they can to get Legend away. Yevra said, once Legend leaves Huaxia and goes back to the U.S. Empire, everything he said will not count as evidence. Then what should I do? Qin Wan said, we can't let Legend run away like this. Those assets that were transferred abroad by the father and son must not be thrown to the U.S. Empire for nothing. Su Yun motioned her not to worry. This is why I want to go with you now. I will think of a way. Don't waste time. Hurry up and go. Yevra said, if the U.S. Empire's consulate goes there first, it will be too late for you to regret. This was also a problem that Su Yun had not considered too much before. Now that Fianu was taken away by Dongfang Fan and Yi Shui, Su Yun could also put all his attention on Legend. This time, he really thought of a lot of troublesome things. Then let's go. Qin Wan was also anxious. Everything was like this. In the beginning, there might not be a problem, But as the analysis went on, one would slowly realize the crisis, and then slowly feel the sense of crisis increasing. Then one would begin to realize how terrifying the crisis was. In the end, when one really realized how close the crisis was, time was getting tighter and tighter. At least now Qin Wan had such a feeling. She was really afraid that the U.S. Empire's consulate would come out and pester them endlessly. Because the U.S. Empire had done too many shameless things over the years, Qin Wan did not doubt that they would pester them endlessly. They said that Yugoslavia's Milosevic committed the crime of genocide. As a result, his country was divided, and the head of state was also arrested by the U.S. Empire. There was no such thing as genocide. It was just a war of division and anti-division. The U.S. Empire forced a crime on him for their own purposes. Weak countries had no diplomacy. Weak countries were bullied. Looking at Iraq's foolish Damu, he was even more wronged. He did not have any biochemical weapons of mass destruction. He only had a bag of detergent. As a result, his country was crippled by the U.S. Empire. His people were also arrested and hanged. Looking at Fuan's Otter Gang, although they were beaten away by the U.S. Empire, more than 10 years had passed. No matter what, the Otter Gang was finally cleaned up by the U.S. Empire. They went from being terrorists in the beginning to being holy warriors in a civil war. Qin Wan was not someone who had never seen hooligans before. She really had never seen hooligans who were more despicable and shameless than the U.S. Empire. The U.S. Empire banned Hua Xia's telecommunications companies from entering the U.S. market. This was their right. But why did they ask Hua Xia to let go of the control of Hua Xia's core departments? They were openly bullying people. To put it bluntly, other than the U.S. Empire's people, anyone who loved their country would feel that the U.S. Empire was a country with no morals and no integrity. It was a country with no shame. Once the U.S. Empire's interests were harmed, they would talk nonsense. Everyone knew that the U.S. Empire had double standards when doing things. The essence of it could be described in one word: shameless. When other countries did something, they would make a big fuss. What they did behind their backs was truly disgusting. Hua Xia had a description for this kind of people. It was called a bitch who still wanted to have a chastity. It was really referring to the U.S. Empire. Chapter 3760. Qin Wan could not wait to stay by Legend's side. She would not let him go even if there was a document with a red header. This was a matter of great importance. There was no room for mistakes. It was not easy to get to the bottom of this matter. It would be a pity if Legend's assets could not be recovered because he was covered up by the American Empire. Qin Wan drove very fast. Su Yun had to remind her, "Don't worry. The news won't spread so fast. Only your colleagues working overtime in the police station know about it. It's already so late. Even if someone goes home, he or she will only tell his or her family. Too many people will talk. I'm not as generous as you are." Qin Wan said, "Our director cares about public opinion. If the American Empire consulate really wants him, they can use public opinion to make him yield." "Really? In my impression, your director is quite an upright person," Su Yun said. "He is, but his age and position are quite sensitive," Qin Wan said. "There are some things we need to understand." Su Yun nodded. That was indeed the case. The higher the position, the more worried they would be about offending some sensitive things. There was no diplomatic thing that was not sensitive, especially when it came to a country like the American Empire. A person who spent his whole life in public security would have no experience in diplomacy. Once the American Empire consulate intervened, it was very likely that they would scare and deceive people. By then, it would be too late to do anything. Therefore, Qin Wan was worried about everyone in the station. She did not suspect that they would betray the American Empire. She was just worried that they would think too much about other things and give up their position as police officers. Qin Wan's worry was not unfounded. At least, that was what Su Yun thought. Although it was not likely that something would happen today, it was almost impossible that nothing would happen tomorrow. The American Empire was a country that was very sensitive to information and privacy. A country that could expose a scandal like the Prism Gate must be very despicable. Therefore, the people in the U.S. consulate must have a dog-like sense of smell. Once they smelled something that might harm the interests of the U.S. empire, they would immediately take action. No matter if it was right or wrong, they would take a bite first. In any case, the United States would not lose anything by taking a bite out of it. Their country had always done things this way, and it wasn't like they hadn't treated Hua Xia like that before. Although it had been many years since they bombed Hua Xia's embassy in South Slavia, people who had experienced that period should still remember it. At that time, Su Yun was still young, but that incident had a great impact on Su Yun. After all, Su Yun was already a member of the Dragon Brigade at that time. Although he had not officially become a soldier of the Special Forces, at that time, he could not wait to ask his superiors to give him an order so that he could directly go to the United States and blow up the Black Palace. At that time, the whole of Hua Xia was protesting. Some people marched, and some threw stones at the entrance of the U.S. Embassy. In any case, there were people who did all kinds of things, and everyone was passionate. Because Su Yun was young at that time, he was also very impulsive. He wanted to march like those hot-blooded youths. At that time, Wan Guangxiao said something in the international relations class that left a deep impression on Su Yun. Even now, Su Yun still remembered it. "I know that you are all very impulsive. In fact, I am just as impulsive as you, because this is the biggest F***king disgrace to us soldiers of Hua Xia." At that time, Wan Guangxiao could not help but curse. "But I still want to tell you, don't think about going to the streets to participate in some kind of demonstration. It has no F***king meaning to the United States Empire. Those sons of B***cheese only know how to laugh at us. Yes. They are laughing at us. Because anger without strength is only a display of humility and cowardice. I hope that you can all remember what is happening right now. I believe that 20 years later, because of you, because of your growth, Hua Xia will not suffer such humiliation again." At that moment, Wan Guangxiao's emotions were really agitated. Su Yun had never seen Wan Guangxiao so angry before. He had never seen him before, nor had he seen him again after. After all, Wan Guangxiao was much younger at that time than he was now. At that time, he represented all the hot-blooded soldiers of Hua Xia's special forces. The humiliation that he endured was all the humiliation that Hua Xia's soldiers had to endure. He would never forget that feeling. The most humiliating thing in his life was that the United States Empire had F***king bombed Hua Xia people to death. As a soldier of Hua Xia, he still had to cowardly endure it. Why endure it? Because the country did not have the strength. Now 18 years had passed. Although it was not the 20 years that Wan Guangxiao said at that time, the United States Empire would definitely not dare to throw bombs at Hua Xia people again. Over the years, the United States had done many things to provoke Hua Xia, but their provocations were always probing. The more despicable method was to train their own dogs to provoke Hua Xia and make them bite Hua Xia. Look at the dogs that surrounded Hua Xia wagging their tails in front of the United States Empire's power. Although there were many of these dogs, they only dared to bark at Hua Xia when their owners were standing behind them. Once their owners shut up, would they still dare to bark? The answer was yes. Of course, they did not dare to bark again. Because if they barked again, they would really anger Hua Xia. Although Hua Xia had an old saying that one had to look at the owner before beating a dog, if one day their owners did not dare to be rash in front of Hua Xia, would Hua Xia still need to look at the owner when beating a dog? Of course not. Su Yun believed that day was not far away. What Wan Guangxiao said 18 years ago had come true today. The United States Empire did not dare to humiliate Hua Xia anymore. They were afraid that Hua Xia would resist. In another 18 years, Su Yun believed that the United States Empire would start to worry about when Hua Xia would humiliate them. By then, those dogs might have already betrayed them. But Hua Xia would not raise these dogs, because these dogs were ungrateful and had no loyalty at all. Just as Su Yun was still thinking about the past, Qin Wan had already driven to the station. The moment the car stopped, she stepped on the brakes very hard. If it were not for the seat belt, Su Yun would have probably rushed out of the windshield. Quick! Qin Wan stopped the car and turned off the engine in one breath. When Su Yun unbuckled his seat belt, Qin Wan had already opened the door and got out of the car. Su Yun had to speed up. He got out of the car and ran after Qin Wan. Some colleagues who were working overtime saw them and greeted them warmly, but Qin Wan did not have time to talk to them. She just waved her hand and continued to run to the detention room where the legend was detained. At the door of the detention room, Man Yu saw Qin Wan and Su Yun, who were panting. She jumped up in surprise. What's going on? Why is my idol here? Is the legend still there? Qin Wan directly interrupted Man Yu. She did not have time to listen to her nonsense. Yes. Man Yu nodded. Why? Did he evaporate? I have been waiting here all this time. When the director came, I did not leave. I braced myself and stayed. No one wants to take him away, right? Qin Wan heard that the legend was still there and breathed a sigh of relief. She was really worried sick. Man Yu was stunned. Who wants to take him away? He is now an important suspect. Even if someone wants to take him away, they have to show the approval document that has the authority to take him away. Otherwise, I will not let anyone take him away. Qin Wan said, no matter what kind of document you have, you can't take him away. He can't be taken away by anyone. Man Yu was shocked by Qin Wan's state. Director Qin, what's wrong with you? Did you go out to eat something good with my idol? Did you accidentally eat something bad? Who would take him away for no reason? I can't explain it to you. Qin Wan did not have the time to explain to her. Go now and inform everyone who is working overtime today. Don't tell anyone what happened today. Don't tell anyone that we caught Carlos, an American. Don't tell anyone, not even their families. Man Yu did not understand what Qin Wan wanted to do. Go now. Now. Qin Wan said. Chapter 3761. I think you must have eaten something bad. My idol, if you want to eat something next time, you can take me with you. My immune system is quite strong. I am not afraid of eating anything. It is impossible for me to have a bad brain. Man Yu stuck out her tongue and ran out under Qin Wan's stare. Qin Wan frowned and asked Su Yun, like you said, it's impossible for this to not spread. Even if nothing happens today, something will happen tomorrow. What are you going to do? Su Yun smiled and said, leave it to me. I'll go in and talk to him. Maybe I can learn something. Regarding the current situation, Qin Wan could only try her best. Right now, she and Su Yun did not have many clues, so they had to take one step at a time. Then go in. Qin Wan nodded. When Su Yun opened the door and appeared in front of the legend again, the legend could not help but tremble. He was really scared of Su Yun. You. Why are you here? The legend looked at Su Yun in horror. What do you want? This isn't your home. I can come here whenever I want. I'm much more familiar with this place than you are, Su Yun said with a smile. Legend gulped nervously. He didn't need to think to know that Su Yun wouldn't be looking for him for anything good. Since the first time I saw you, I have not been lucky. Everything that has to do with you is bad luck. The legend of legend could only complain to Su Yun, I don't have much hope now. I just beg you to stop harming me, okay? I don't have anything left. You really don't have anything left. Su Yun sighed. I heard that you've recruited everyone? You've offended all those people who had intimate contact with your father, those nobles. The legend was stunned. He gritted his teeth and said, if we die together. We didn't do it. Why do we have to be the unlucky ones? That's a good idea. If it were me, I would definitely think the same. Su Yun nodded. That's indeed the case. It wasn't your family that did it. Those guys should be punished as well. Seeing that Su Yun agreed with him, the legend didn't say anything. But have you ever thought that some of these bigwigs can cover the sky with one hand? Su Yun asked again. The legendary warrior was stunned. What do you mean? That's right. Some people are very powerful now. Their power is beyond your imagination. You think that you can make him suffer by reporting them? Maybe it doesn't matter to them at all. Su Yun, you know, in this world, power is something that can make people kneel. Hearing this, the legendary battle pet warrior was a little scared. Let me put it simply. Su Yun smiled. He was just making things up to scare the legendary battle pet warrior. If the legendary battle pet warrior wasn't scared, he wouldn't be able to control him. You've implicated so many people. Do you really think that the news won't reach their ears? So what if it reaches their ears? They did something wrong in the first place. They will be arrested. Just like me, the legend said angrily. They're different from you. Su Yun shook his finger. Why would you be arrested? Because you're nothing. Your father, the only person with power and status in Xinjiang, is dead. So, you're nothing. You can only be arrested. The legend was dumbfounded. Think about it. What if your father wasn't killed by that guy today? Su Yun put on a provocative smile. Maybe he only needs to make a few calls and he'll have a way to let you go. The legend swallowed again. Take me for example. Haven't you been yelling that I let the murderer go? Su Yun, you even said that the deputy director neglected his duty and covered for me. But what happened? I'm right in front of you now. But I walked in openly, and you were arrested. What? What are you trying to say? The legend's face turned darker and darker. Su Yun continued with a smile. I want to say that I can walk out openly in a while. The people here will greet me and say good evening when they see me. But if you want to walk out, haha, I don't need to say it. You know what will happen, right? The legend's hands couldn't help but tremble. Do you know what this means? Su Yun, it means that we're not on the same level. We'll be treated differently. If your father isn't dead, you might be able to walk out openly like me. The legend understood what Su Yun meant. He didn't feel good at all. So, those people you reported, as long as they have enough ability and a high enough status, they can swagger in like me. Su Yun said, do you think there's anyone of that level among the people you reported? Of course there were. The legend could easily think of several such people. Take a guess. What kind of reaction do you think these guys will have when they hear that you've exposed them? Su Yun asked again. The legend didn't know how to answer at all. Think about it from their perspective. Su Yun smiled faintly. If you were them, and a destitute guy whose father died reported you and wanted to mess with you, what would you do? If you had enough power to make trouble for him through your connections, or even kill him in some unconventional ways, would you do it? No. It's impossible. They can't do anything to me. Su Yun sighed and shook his head. Why are you so naive? You sold them out. Why can't they do anything to you? How can this be? Why? Didn't you say that you were going to arrest them after I sold them out? You had to let me go after I made a contribution. Why didn't you do what I expected? Why? The legend was furious. If he had known this would happen, he wouldn't have said a word. Who says you can arrest them just because you sold them out? That's just your side of the story. Huaxia is a place that pays attention to laws and evidence. They won't convict someone just because of your words. Su Yun smiled. During this investigation, the people you sold out won't let you go. You know that, don't you? Anyone would kill him if they had the time. The legend knew what it meant to think from his perspective. If he were in the same situation, he would do everything he could to kill him. For a moment, the legend felt like he had fallen into a bottomless abyss. He was crazy. He was completely crazy. Why? Why are you doing this to me? The legend felt the great pressure and threat of death. Only then did he know what fear was. Don't worry. I was just saying. Su Yun said. If the legend could beat Su Yun, he would have attacked him. However, he couldn't beat Su Yun at all. He had no place to vent his anger. He could only hit the wall. "It's useless to hurt yourself," Su Yun said. "Actually, you still have hope." Hearing that there was hope, the legend had the urge to kneel in front of Su Yun. "Mr. Su, I know you're very powerful. I know you're very capable. I beg you, if you can find a way to get me out of here and help me escape to the United States, I will thank you. I'll give you whatever you want. I want the Queen of England's crown and the scepter in her hand. Can you give me those?" Su Yun said disdainfully. "Don't give me those meaningless promises." The legend didn't know what to do. He kept begging, "I can give you whatever you want. Don't get too excited. If you want to be saved and know how to hold on to hope, be quiet and listen to me." Su Yun said, "Yes. I'll be quiet. I'll be very quiet." The legend clasped his hands together and stood in front of Su Yun without saying a word. Su Yun smiled mysteriously at him. "Because you're the key to getting rid of those people, I don't want you to be killed by them. Do you think this is the best news you've heard in a while? You don't hate me as much as before, do you?" The legend had placed all his hopes on Su Yun. Of course, he didn't dare to hate Su Yun. No matter what happened before, Su Yun was now the most lovable person in the legend's eyes. Chapter 3762. At the same time, Qin Wan was waiting anxiously outside the detention room. All kinds of principles were like shackles that bound her tightly. She felt that she couldn't do anything. At this time, Manu was still running around, telling everyone not to tell anyone about what had happened today, including her own family members. Xiao Zhang, who had been working for less than half a year, had an unnatural expression. After hearing Manu's words, he hurriedly took out his phone. "What? The more I don't want you to say it, the more you have to call, right?" Manu smiled. "I know you are in a relationship, but when you are in a relationship, it's best not to talk about work with your girlfriend. No girl is willing to listen to these things." Everyone knew that he had a beautiful girlfriend. He started dating her when he was in university. It wasn't the kind of relationship where he met her through a blind date. "Sister Manu, I might have done something wrong," Xiao Zhang said nervously. "My girlfriend knows." "What did you say?" Manu frowned. "As a policeman, don't be so gossipy, okay? It's not good to talk about everything." Xiao Zhang sighed helplessly. "Sister Manu, listen to me. Today is my girlfriend's birthday. Originally, I promised her to have dinner and watch a movie with her yesterday. But today, I was delayed because of a special operation. I was afraid that she would be angry, so I explained it to her. So, I would take a picture from time to time and show it to her, telling her that I am still working overtime. I hope she can forgive me." Manu felt sad when she heard that. Looking at those single people in the station who were working hard but didn't have girlfriends, they were really pitiful. Being a policeman sounded very prestigious, but if one was ambitious and worked hard, he wouldn't be able to find a girlfriend. No girl would tolerate her boyfriend working overtime every few days when she was in a relationship. That kind of feeling was obviously very bad. So, many people who didn't have any relationships and could only work hard to get a good career had almost no chance to be in a relationship. Xiao Zhang was one of those people who worked hard. So, he didn't have much time to accompany his girlfriend. It was understandable that he cared and worried that his girlfriend would be angry. Anyone would be worried. After all, his girlfriend was very beautiful. If he couldn't accompany her because of work, other people might take advantage of the situation. There were all kinds of people these days. Any pretty girl would be surrounded by 3 to 5 flies, even if she was married. After all, the ratio of men to women in Huaxia was too imbalanced. Then tell her not to let her talk nonsense. "Don't talk to anyone," Manu said indifferently. At this time, Xiao Zhang also quickly dialed his girlfriend's phone number. He hurriedly told his girlfriend about the situation and told her not to talk about what he had told her. Little Zhang's girlfriend exclaimed, "I posted it on my moments." This time, Xiao Zhang was instantly dumbfounded. He opened his WeChat Moments in a panic and realized that things were out of control. All the photos he had sent to his girlfriend had been posted on her WeChat Moments. It was accompanied by sad words. "I'm celebrating my birthday alone. Dear, I'm working overtime for a murder case tonight." It said that the person who was killed was Chuan Shan, the president of the business circle. His son was also arrested for economic crimes. It said that he's an American, a traitor. Sigh, for the sake of our country and the people, we've spent too much time together. Let me make a wish. I hope that, my dear, this year won't be too hard. If it were any other day, Xiao Zhang would have been so touched that he would have made a long speech in the comments below. But now, he didn't have the time. Because his WeChat Moments didn't only have the photos and touching story posted by his girlfriend. Their mutual friends had also reposted it. The reposted photos expressed the news of Chuan Shan's murder and the arrest of a legend. People these days were so free. Once there was such explosive news, it would definitely be spread all over their WeChat Moments. In the blink of an eye, the lowly clansmen quickly forwarded the explosive news that they had seen. Maybe they just wanted some likes. Because of such a small matter, the news that shouldn't have been spread uncontrollably. These days, once a matter began to spread, it would spread like a plague if there was something that caught people's attention. Many people who wanted to be famous, even if they died, couldn't get this kind of news-spreading speed. But Xiao Zhang didn't want this kind of result, so he couldn't stop the whole thing. Man Yu couldn't help but frown. She hurriedly turned on her phone and found that people in her WeChat Moments had also joined the ranks of reposting the news. This was really troublesome. Do you know how big of a mess you've made? Man Yu finally couldn't help but reprimand Xiao Zhang. I'm telling you, if you really get into big trouble, even if Chief Qin doesn't punish you, I will. Man Yu didn't have time to waste on Xiao Zhang. She hurriedly ran to report this to Qin Wan. Xiao Zhang anxiously shouted into the phone, "Hurry up and delete all the photos in your WeChat Moments. This can't be spread. I'm dead because of you. Hurry up and tell your friends to stop reposting it. Tell them to delete it too. Delete it all." But the spreading news was like an outbreak of cancer cells. It couldn't be taken back. Facing this kind of situation, Xiao Zhang and his girlfriend were powerless. The only thing they could do now was to pray. They prayed that the spreading of this news wouldn't cause any bad effects or serious consequences. Xiao Zhang's girlfriend had posted it 2 hours ago. The speed of 2 hours was enough for it to spread through half of Shenzhen. How could the Americans not know? The American consulate had already started an investigation because of the words, "and an American." Very quickly, they found out the identity of the legend. No, it should be Carlos's identity. After confirming that Carlos was an American, the U.S. consulate naturally wouldn't sit still and do nothing. Of course, they had to do something. That's right. They were a bunch of bastards who couldn't stay still. They wanted to do something. They wanted everything to be beautiful. Let Huaxia have a headache and let them reap the benefits. This was the beauty in the eyes of the Americans. Guys, you'd better cheer up. Although Carlos is Huaxia, he is now an American citizen. We have a reason to protect him. We have to protect him from Huaxia's sanctions and nonsense. That's right. Everyone, cheer up. We have to deal with this matter as soon as possible. Use the fastest way to save him. We can't let him stay in Huaxia's police station. Haven't you heard? It's absolutely not allowed. I don't care if he is an economic criminal in Huaxia's eyes. I just know that he has done a lot of investment in our motherland, so he is someone we need to protect. What he does is beneficial to our country. We can't let Huaxia punish him. If we can't do anything about it when it happens right under our noses, there won't be people like him who will invest in our motherland in the future. 90% or more of the Huaxia people who invest in our country are problematic. If we don't save Carlos today, it will make people who want to invest in immigrants like Carlos in the future suspicious. They will go to other countries and invest their money in European countries. These words were said by the officials of the U.S. consulate. The only thing they had to do now was to save their citizen. That's right. They did this for the benefit of their country. They didn't care about Hua Xia. The moment they received the news, they prepared to go and rescue him. In order to save their citizen, they didn't hesitate to make a big fuss. They wanted to let Hua Xia see their determination and confidence. They wanted to let Hua Xia know that they couldn't touch American citizens, even if they were Chinese. Several cars from the American consulate had already arrived when Qin Wan asked Man Yu to tell everyone not to spread the news. Chapter 3763. Man Yu hurriedly ran to Qin Wan and told her about the situation. Things have been messed up. Zhang accidentally told his girlfriend about what happened today. The news that the legend was caught by us has been leaked through his friend's circle. I think many people know about it now. Qin Wan quickly took out her phone and checked her moments. Indeed, many people were reposting the news. That gave Qin Wan a headache, but there was nothing she could do. Qin Wan quickly pushed open the door of the detention room. Su Yun and Legend were talking about something. Legend seemed to be calmer than before. What's wrong? Su Yun looked back at Qin Wan. Su Yun saw her nervousness and uneasiness between her eyebrows. Something happened. Qin Wan had no time to worry about Legend. She glanced at him and said to Su Yun, "The news that we caught this guy has been spread." Su Yun was stunned. Did the police hold a press conference? It's the middle of the night. The news can't be spread that fast. It's moments, Qin Wan said helplessly. She had to guard against fire, thieves, and moments. In this day and age, anything with a bit of a gimmick would be hyped up by moments. It was too easy to gain attention. There was no way to control it. Su Yun took out his phone in surprise and glanced at his WeChat moments. Sure enough, even Chongzi and some others had forwarded the pictures and news. Chongzi also shamelessly emphasized that Deputy Director Qin, who had done a meritorious deed, was his sister. Who did that? This is a police station, not a playground. Is it worth it to take pictures and post them on moments? Su Yun was a little angry. He didn't do it on purpose. Qin Wan had a good impression of Zhang. At least he was willing to sacrifice his time for work, unlike some young people who looked forward to getting off work early every day. Su Yun was not in the mood to understand anyone. This kind of behavior has seriously affected the development of the whole thing. I thought we could hold on until tomorrow, but it seems that someone will come tonight. Those guys are very well informed. Now that this matter has been spread all over the internet, how could those who want him not know? The legendary battle pet warrior was so scared that he almost wet his pants. Just now, Su Yun had told him a lot about why those people wanted to get him and what they would do to him after getting him. The legendary battle pet warrior had a different feeling when he heard this. He was afraid that those people would seek revenge. The guys that Su Yun and Qin Wan were talking about were not the ones that the Legend of Mir was thinking about. They were talking about the people from the American consulate. As for the people that Su Yun said had been betrayed by the legends, they didn't need to worry about them at all. There was no need to worry about those people at all. Even if they knew that a legendary battle pet warrior had betrayed them, they wouldn't do anything to him. If a legendary battle pet warrior died, then they would be even more suspicious. By then, they would face even stricter investigations and inspections. Therefore, those who were betrayed by legendary battle pet warriors would not hurt him. Not only would they not hurt him, but they would also try their best to rescue him. Those people would rather rescue the legendary battle pet warrior and send him back to the American Empire so that this bastard could enjoy his life in the American Empire. Because as long as the legendary battle pet warrior lived in the American Empire, trouble would not come to them. As long as the domestic investigation focused on the legendary battle pet warrior, those people would not be in danger. Those people could not do anything to the legendary battle pet warrior. Once they did, there would be no turning back. However, the legend didn't understand the reason behind this. He was completely fooled by Su Yun. He trusted Su Yun's words 100%, he didn't have the slightest doubt. Therefore, he was afraid that these people would come knocking on his door. If the legendary battle pet warrior knew that those who came to him were not the monsters that Su Yun said, but the people from the American consulate, he would definitely rush out in excitement. Therefore, Su Yun could not let the words, American consulate, appear in his mouth. He replaced them with, those guys. Because of these few words, the legendary battle pet warrior did not dare to make a sound. At this moment, the sound of a car engine came from downstairs. It was quite noisy. Outside the door, Man Yu saw the situation and quickly pushed the door open. Director Chin, this is bad. It's May. Those bastards who have no bottom line and no morals came to find us so quickly? Su Yun interrupted Man Yu's words without hesitation and gave Man Yu a look. Man Yu was smart enough to understand that Su Yun guessed that she was going to say that the American consulate was here. However, he did not want the legendary battle pet warrior to know about it. Therefore, he used no to confuse the word May. Yes, those bastards with no bottom line are here, said Man Yu. Qin Wan took a deep breath. I have to solve this problem. I can't let them come here and show off. Su Yun continued to confuse the legendary battle pet warrior. These guys are all people of high status. They have a strong background. They are not easy to deal with. I think you will not be able to stop them today. Since they are here so late, they must be 100% sure that they can take the legendary battle pet warrior away. Impossible. They can't take the legendary battle pet warrior away from my hands. Qin Wan was about to go out and deal with it. Man Yu followed her closely. As for the legendary battle pet warrior, they were relieved to leave it to Su Yun. Seeing Qin Wan leave, Su Yun rubbed his head. Things were not as simple as Qin Wan thought. Qin Wan probably couldn't make the decision on this matter. The people from the U.S. consulate must have contacted the top leaders of Shenzhong City on their way here. When the leaders came, once they knew that the legendary battle pet warrior was a citizen of the American Empire, they would most likely order them to release the legendary battle pet warrior. It was not to say that they were weak or anything. It was a way to deal with things. After all, this kind of diplomatic matter had to be handled carefully. They could not make things too difficult. Once things became too complicated, it wouldn't be good for anyone, especially for people with higher positions. This was the reason why such a situation happened. In short, Su Yun was sure that if the American consulate insisted on releasing the legendary battle pet warrior, Qin Wan would not be able to stop them. Su Yun would not be able to stop them either. His status was special, so he could not get involved in these things. Unless the leader was a very hardline person. However, the atmosphere of Hua Xiao's officialdom determined a problem. It was very difficult for a hardline person to get to such a high position. A hardline person would lose the hope of being promoted early because of their hardline principles. That was a very real problem. Therefore, Su Yun's judgment was reasonable. As long as the American consulate came, Qin Wan-er's power would not be able to fight against them. Although Su Yun believed that Qin Wan-er would use all means and power to persist, she would still fail in the end. Su Yun did not tell Qin Wan-er that she was like a mantis trying to stop a chariot. He was afraid that it would be too big a blow to her. Because he already had a definite answer, Su Yun would not wait for death. When Qin Wan-er was dealing with them, Su Yun had to find a way to solve the problem. Manager Su, I beg you to save me. Only you can save me now. Legend suddenly hugged Su Yun's arm. Su Yun impatiently pushed him away. If you have something to say, just say it. Don't touch me. I beg you, Manager Su. If they take me away here, I will die. You have to protect me. You must protect me. Legend inexplicably had absolute trust in Su Yun. If you trust me, then listen to my arrangement. Su Yun suddenly had a new idea, but now he had no time to discuss it with Qin Wan-er. Legend nodded hard. I will listen to you. As long as you can save my life, I will listen to you. I will take you away now. Su Yun, don't make a sound. Escape. Legend was stunned. This was the police station. There were so many policemen. Besides, there were surveillance cameras everywhere. Where could he escape to? Su Yun nodded. Of course, I have a condition. If you want me to help you escape, you have to listen to me and do a few things for me. If you can't do it, I will take you back. Then you will be charged with absconding. Okay. I will listen to you. Legend did not care so much now. Grasping at straws, he agreed to Su Yun's request. Chapter 3764. The 5 cars from the American consulate stopped arrogantly in front of the police station's office building. At this time, the director and some leaders had already left. There were only about 10 or so colleagues who were working overtime to finish up the work. Qin Wan obviously had the highest position. She was the only deputy director who stayed in the station and didn't leave. After the 5 cars stopped, nearly 20 people, including the drivers, came out. They had the advantage in numbers, so their momentum was naturally strong. A tall curly-haired man walked forward. His deep eye sockets made him look a little scary. He pointed to the brown-haired man beside him who was wearing a suit and leather shoes. He introduced him with a proud voice. This is Mr. Harris from the American consulate. I don't need to introduce his position and identity, right? You all should know. Harris was an important official of the American consulate, so the curly-haired man was very confident. Tai Kong was the first to face the group of American empresses. Before Qin Wan arrived, he couldn't lose his momentum. Yes, there's no need to introduce him. No matter how much you introduce, we only know that he's Mr. Harris. We're not interested in his identity and position. Tai Kong smiled and walked forward. I wonder why the people from the American consulate have come to our place so late? Harris smiled. Do you think you're qualified to talk to me? I want to see your director. If you're just a small character, don't make a fool of yourself. Our director got off work a long time ago. It's not our normal working hours now. I hope you can come back tomorrow if you have something to do, Tai Kong said. As a police officer, don't you need to be on duty 24 hours a day? Harris said aggressively. Are you Huaxia police officers so free? Tai Kong didn't fall for his trick. Of course, a police officer needs to be on duty 24 hours a day. I'm on duty. If you think I'm qualified to listen to you, then please say it. If you don't think I'm qualified, then please leave. It's not convenient for us to receive you here. Do you know who you're talking to? The curly-haired man glared. He said to Tai Kong in an angry tone, a small character like you doesn't deserve to stand in front of us. I'll answer your question first. I know who I'm talking to. You've introduced him before. His name is Harris. Tai Kong said in a neither servile nor overbearing manner. Then, I'll give you the same words. If you're just a small character, then don't keep nagging. This is a sacred place, not a market. What did you say? The curly-haired man turned hostile and looked like he was about to fight. Tai Kong was not afraid. If this guy dared to make a move, he would immediately counterattack and arrest him for assaulting the police. Harris knew very well what it meant to attack a police officer. It meant that they were in the wrong, so no matter what, he would not let his men do it. After all, they were not here to fight. They were here to do business, to solve real problems. Therefore, Harris gave his men a look, telling them to behave themselves. I want to see your leader. Are you the leader? Harris said to Tai Kong, if you're not, then I can only trouble you to call your leader. I need someone in charge to talk to me. Just when Tai Kong wanted to refute him, Qin Wan and Man Yu had already rushed over. Qin Wan strode forward and said to Harris, Mr. Harris, now I'm in charge here. If you need any help or cooperation from the Huaxia police, please come with me to my office. Seeing Qin Wan appear, Harris was suspicious at first. After all, Qin Wan was just a woman, and a young woman at that. But when he saw Qin Wan's police rank, he realized that this young woman had some background. May I ask who you are, miss? Harris asked tentatively. Man Yu said arrogantly from behind, "This is our deputy director, Qin Wan. If you have anything to say, you can talk to us. Tell your people not to yell in our bureau like dogs. They have no manners at all." This girl had such a temper. When she saw something she was not happy with, she would directly scold it. If Harris had not raised his hand to signal his men not to be impulsive, this matter would have been blown out of proportion by Man Yu. Qin Wan's heart was in her throat. She did not want to cause a conflict. After all, this was the police station. "Don't talk so much." Qin Wan glanced at Man Yu and walked directly to her office. Although she did not look back, she said to the people present, "You all listen to Uncle Qin's arrangement. Guard your positions well. Don't let idle people wander around our police station. Violators will immediately be arrested as criminal suspects. After all, we have international friends here. Everyone, cheer up." Qin Wan's words were obviously for the people of the American Empire Consulate who were present. After these people heard this, they were all so angry that their lungs were about to explode. But because of their scruples, they could not do anything. They could only endure it. After all, she did not name them. They could not find a reason to fall out with her even if they wanted to. Her reason was for their own good. In this way, no one could do anything. Qin Wan walked forward without looking back. Harris was stunned. He did not expect that such a young girl would put him in his place. "Hey, are you going or not? Do you want me to invite you again?" Man Yu did not have any respect for Harris. To put it bluntly, Man Yu's personality was similar to that of many young people in their early 20s with good family conditions. Even if her immediate superior was not sincere to her, she would still contradict him, let alone others. She did not care who Harris was in the American Empire Consulate. Even if the American Empire President Chuan Pu, who had just been promoted not long ago, as long as Man Yu did not like him, she would not be polite to him. She did not care whether he was the president or not. He was not a leader in Huaxia. Why should she care? Harris suppressed the slight anger in his heart and strode forward. "Did you all hear what Qin Ju said just now?" Tai Kong raised his voice and said to all the colleagues present, "Qin Ju said that there are international friends visiting. We must pay attention to safety. Everyone, be alert. Do not let the bad people have a chance to take advantage of us." The people in the American Empire Consulate were all speechless. Qin Wan brought Harris to her office. Man Yu stood behind Qin Wan. The curly-haired man followed Harris in and stood behind Harris. After that, there were still people from the American Empire Consulate who wanted to come in. Man Yu could not take it anymore. "Who do you think you are? Our Qin Bureau invited your leader. What are all these random people doing here? You are really shameless. How can such a small room fit so many people? Do you want to squeeze in with all 20 of you?" Man Yu's scolding made this group of people speechless. Harris did not want to waste his breath. He waved his hand and signaled the others not to come in. Everyone should wait outside. The curly-haired man who had already come in was definitely the most shameless one. Man Yu's words were so unpleasant to hear, but he still insisted on standing behind Harris. Harris did not ask him to go out again, so he just let nature take its course and stayed. How come there are some random people who don't understand human language? Man Yu said to herself in disdain. Harris finally could not take it anymore. He is my assistant. He is not a random person. Qin Ju, I hope that when I am talking to you, I will not be affected by other people. Is that okay? Of course. Qin Wan signaled Man Yu not to be so confrontational. She wanted to give them some breathing space. If she kept suppressing them, they would explode. She wanted to take it slow and let them know the difficulties and retreat. Man Yu stopped talking. She stood behind Qin Wan but her eyes were still looking at the two people in front of her with no kindness. "Qin Ju, let's talk frankly. There is no point in beating around the bush." Harris said, "We Americans have always been straightforward. We don't understand Huaxia's tricks and culture. So, if we offend you, I hope you don't mind." Qin Wan smiled coldly. Then I will listen to what tricks Mr. Harris wants to play. Chapter 3765. Harris's face was very ugly. He felt that he didn't get the respect he deserved. No matter what, he was an official of the U.S. consulate. He shouldn't be treated like this. This was really not giving him any face. Director Qin, I've said it before. I'm not a person who likes your huaxia style. Harris emphasized his tone. Qin Weiner nodded. I also don't like your American style. It seems that we are the same kind of people. Director Qin. What do you mean? I can hear that you are insulting the U.S. empire from your words. I hope that you can respect human rights. Don't be biased against the U.S. empire and its citizens because of your personal reasons. Wait a minute. If I remember correctly, you said that you don't like our huaxia style first. Then I said that I don't like your American style. Qin Weiner said, then you said that I don't respect human rights and insulted your country because I said that I don't like your American style? You are biased? Then I would like to ask Mr. Harris, when you said that you respect huaxia style to me, did you respect huaxia? Did you not have biased glasses? Harris was instantly speechless. In Qin Weiner's eyes, his personal behavior really represented the behavior of the entire U.S. empire. Some things could only be done by oneself and not by others. What he did was an insignificant matter, but what others did should be criticized. This kind of shameless behavior was called shameless in huaxia. Of course, Qin Weiner didn't deny that there were many shameless people in huaxia. They were the kind of people who only allowed themselves to do things and not by others. They were all very shameless. But Qin Weiner felt that it was really rare to see such a shameless person like Harris. Mr. Harris, I suggest that you set your own position first. Then you can discuss the problem with me. Otherwise, there may be a lot of unpleasantness between us. Qin Weiner said lightly. Seeing that Qin Weiner had the upper hand, Manu was also happy in her heart. But she wouldn't laugh secretly. She directly put a smile on her face. Is this how you huaxia people treat your guests? The curly-haired man stared at Qin Wan unhappily. Mr. Harris came to talk to you about serious matters, but you treat him like this. Is the so-called courtesy, kindness, and righteousness of huaxia nonsense? Don't get too worked up. I just said that if you have something to say, just say it. It's you guys who want to talk about tricks, Qin Wan said. Since you want to be honest, don't always suspect that others are trying to trick you. All right. Harris raised his voice. Then let me ask you. Did you capture a citizen of the United States of America? His name is Carlos. Isn't that right? Answer me. Qin Weiner was not deterred by his raised voice. Today, the police did take action, and we did arrest a person. As far as I know, that person is called Legend. He is involved in an economic case in huaxia, so the police. Then I will tell you now. The legend you are talking about is Carlos, a citizen of the American Empire. Harris interrupted Qin Weiner. I don't want to hear your explanation now. Since he is a citizen of the American Empire, we have the right to take him away. Qin Weiner's face was livid. Although she was prepared to face the American Empire's rogue way of doing things, she still didn't expect that rogue could be so tough. It was ridiculous. Then I will also tell you now. If this is the American Empire, I have nothing to say if you want to take any criminal suspect away, because that is your right. Qin Weiner held back her anger and said, but this is huaxia. You have no right to take anyone away. You don't have that right. Qin Weiner's words were resolute and decisive. Harris's face turned red. He didn't expect that this huaxia woman would not give him face. This was not a situation he usually encountered. Usually, huaxia people were very polite to him. He is not a legend. He is not a citizen of huaxia. He is a legal citizen of the American Empire, Carlos. Since he is a legal citizen of the American Empire, we have the right. Do you understand? Harris tried to use a tough attitude to suppress Qin Weiner. This was also the way that the American Empire liked to use. When there was a problem between countries, if the American Empire was unreasonable, they would put on such a face and always try to use this face to threaten other countries and make them yield. Harris was really a citizen of the American Empire. Gene Weiner couldn't imagine how shameless this bastard could be. Now, it is not that I don't understand what you are saying. It is that you don't understand what I am saying. Gene Weiner also raised her voice. If Harris wanted to use a tough method to force her, she would never let him succeed. Today, Gene Weiner wanted to let this American bastard in front of her know that Hua Xia was not easy to bully. Hua Xia people were not easy to bully either. If you talk to me like this, then I am going to complain to your superior. Harris's tone had become fierce. He wanted to tear Gene Weiner apart. Gene Weiner smiled slightly. Sure, you can complain as much as you want. I did not do anything wrong. You can complain as much as you want. You arrested a citizen of the American Empire for no reason. Just based on this, I can make you lose your police rank. Do you believe it or not? Harris's mood had already risen. That domineering attitude made Gene Weiner feel disgusted. Then you can try. Let's see if my police rank is something that you can casually take away. Gene Weiner slammed the table and stood up. I am warning you not to talk nonsense. This is Hua Xia, not your country. You don't have the right to yell at me here. Manu was also anxious. Did I give you face? Do you really think you're some big shot? Do you believe that I will arrest all of you right now? You dare. What you are doing is destroying the diplomatic relationship between the two countries. You will be severely punished. The curly-haired man shouted loudly. Manu spat. Then let's try. Let's see if you will be unlucky first, or us. At this time, a few more cars came to the police station. This time, not only did the bureau chief come, there were also the leaders of the city. These people were all called by Harris when he was preparing to come. He told all the leaders of Shenzhen that he was coming here to save the citizens of the American Empire. Before Harris came, he made a big deal out of the whole thing. His purpose was to prevent the people who didn't care about the big picture of international relations from not giving him face. However, what Harris did not expect was that the person who didn't care about the big picture was actually a woman. Moreover, she was a deputy bureau chief with a decent police rank. This made Harris angry. He thought that the person who was causing trouble for him was at most a small person who did things without thinking. Any leader of Hua Xia would not dare to speak to him in such a tone, nor would they dare to do such a thing to him. Humph. Then let's see who is the unlucky one. Hearing the voice outside, Harris sneered, I will make you regret your attitude towards me. Today, even if the emperor comes, we will still treat you with the same attitude. Manu was still fearless. Harris saw that they would not give up until they saw the end of the world. He shouted, Do you know who I called? Your bureau chief will be here today. Your leader of Shenzhen will also be here today. Everyone who comes has a higher position than you. Do you understand? Therefore, whatever you say to me is useless nonsense. Harris vented his dissatisfaction to his heart's content. Shout as much as you want. Gene Weiner stood up and threw Harris aside. She ignored Harris and walked out. She did not take him seriously at all. Harris saw that Gene Weiner did not have any intention to reflect. The anger in his stomach was not vented out. It was so swollen that the veins in his neck were popping. This was completely different from what he imagined. Why did the Hua Xia people dare to speak to him like this now? Did this woman not know that he was from the American Empire? Did she not know that the American Empire was the most powerful country in the world? Did she think that the Hua Xia had already surpassed the American Empire? No. There was still a long way to go. There was still a difference of a few hundred years. When Harris thought of this, his mind suddenly went blank. 50 years ago, the American Empire said that the Hua Xia was 500 years behind them. 20 years ago, the American Empire said that the Hua Xia was 200 years behind them. 10 years ago, the American Empire said that the Huaxia was 50 years behind them. Now, how many years was the Huaxia behind the American Empire? 10 years. Or 20 years. The difference was getting smaller and smaller. Maybe in another 3 to 5 years, the world would change into a different scene. Chapter 3766. Qin Wan came in front of the bureau chief and the leaders of the city and greeted them. The leaders all had a strong aura. They casually raised their hands and signaled to Qin Wan. The bureau chief pointed at the cars from the American consulate and asked, "Who are the people from the American consulate?" "Someone called Harris." "I don't know who he is," Qin Wan said. The leader nodded and said, "I know. I have talked to him before. Where is he now?" Qin Wan was stunned. She was worried that the leader knew Harris. She was afraid that he would save face for Harris. If that was the case, Qin Wan really didn't know how to deal with it. It was very difficult. "He is in my office now. He came and asked me to let him go. I didn't agree. He is pestering me." These diplomats from the United States are best at pestering people endlessly. The bureau chief frowned. "They're here for that kid." The leader said calmly, "Our Huaxia's judicial department is not something that the Americans can casually order around. If they want to let him go, they have to ask me first." Hearing the leader say that, Qin Wan was relieved. "I have already told him. Although that guy is from the American Empire, I can't let him go. You did a good job." After the leader said that, he signaled the bureau chief to take him to Qin Wan's room. Qin Wan and Man Yu both let out a sigh of relief. The leader's attitude was very firm. It was obviously a good thing for them. The few of them quickly arrived at Qin Wan's office. Harris was looking at them arrogantly. Although the leader and the bureau chief greeted him politely, Harris looked reluctant. Qin Wan could see that although the leader and Harris knew each other, they didn't have much interaction with each other. In fact, before this, the city leader and Harris had met on a certain matter, and at that time, the city leader had scolded Harris. However, that was a small matter. Harris believed that the leader wouldn't dare to make things difficult for him on such a big matter. "Mr. Harris." Seeing that Harris was unhappy, the city leader smiled and did not mind. He went straight to the point and said, "Our Huaxia is a country ruled by law. If a foreigner commits a crime in our Huaxia territory, any crime, including ships and aircraft passing through Huaxia, must be governed by the laws of Huaxia. This is the rule." "Huaxia sure has a lot of rules," Harris said indifferently. He would not listen to this. Foreigners who enjoy diplomatic privileges and immunity can be solved through diplomatic channels. The leader didn't respond to Harris's words. "We, Huaxia, do things according to the principle of equality and reciprocity. The so-called equality means that if the courts of the United States Empire impose certain restrictions on the citizens of Huaxia, we of Huaxia will also impose certain restrictions on the citizens of the United States Empire. You should be clear about this." Harris took a deep breath. His displeasure became more and more obvious. "I came here today to emphasize that foreigners and stateless people who commit crimes in Huaxia territory should be convicted and punished according to the criminal law. Depending on the result of the crime, they should be punished separately or additionally. Regarding this, our Huaxia criminal law has special provisions. For foreigners who commit crimes, they can be expelled independently or additionally." The leader said, "I hope Mr. Harris can understand. But I came here now to solve the problem through diplomatic channels." Harris said, "Don't talk to me about Huaxia's laws and regulations. I'm not interested." He, since you work in Huaxia's territory, you should have a better understanding of Huaxia's laws and regulations. The bureau chief also said, "It's not that our people are wrong in this matter. It's just that our rules are like this." Qin Wan didn't give Harris a chance to breathe. She said bluntly, "In addition, the identity of this person who is involved in economic crimes in Huaxia is very special. He is different from the citizens of the United States. He immigrated from Huaxia. There is a very big difference in this. In my opinion, there is no difference. Harris was anxious. That is a very important citizen of our United States Empire. I must give you a serious warning. Return him to us. I am not here to discuss. I am here through diplomatic channels. As the saying goes, weak countries have no diplomacy. The leader smiled slightly. Once upon a time, your United States Empire always liked to use diplomatic channels to face all kinds of weak countries and seek your benefits. Huaxia used to be one of them. But now, I hope you can see the reality clearly. Huaxia does have diplomacy, and the diplomatic methods are obvious to the whole world. Harris was actually suppressed by the other party's aura. Think about how your United States Empire did it, and then come and reason with us. The leader smiled slightly and said, Huaxia's corrupt officials, People's Movement, Eastern Turks, evil sects, and all kinds of anti-Chinese people or organizations once go to your United States Empire. Don't you also disagree with our relevant units in Huaxia interfering? What we do is just following the principle of reciprocity. Moreover, this person's situation is different from those people. I didn't come here to listen to you lecture me. Harris couldn't keep his face. Let me tell you, I came here to take him away. If you don't hand him over to me, I will continue to use the connections above. I will get him sooner or later, and you won't be able to keep your black hat. Do you believe it? The leader laughed. I really don't believe it. If a foreigner can control Huaxia's officialdom and make a Huaxia official lose his black hat because he didn't submit to him, then all these years of Huaxia mingling in this world would have been in vain. Harris gnashed his teeth in hatred, but he couldn't say anything. We all know that every year, close to 1,000 Huaxia officials, or some who used to be officials, go to your United States Empire for protection. Every year, tens of billions of dollars of wealth flow from Huaxia into the United States Empire. The leader said, you Americans call them problematic officials. The reason why you are most willing to provide protection for these Huaxia people is because of the wealth in the hands of the Huaxia people who are being protected, right? The leader was right. This time, the people from the United States Empire came to cause trouble because of the wealth in the hands of the legend. If they couldn't successfully protect these people time and time again, these people wouldn't run to the United States with money. We also know very well that the United States Empire will never do business that loses money. You provide protection for Huaxia people, which is a good thing for both fame and fortune. First, you can demonstrate your so-called human rights, protect your so-called human rights and freedoms and your hypocritical face, and consolidate your international status. You can also reap the benefits every year and gain a huge amount of wealth in Huaxia. Qin Wan said, you Americans are the best at reaping without sowing. Harris gritted his teeth. Let me tell you, those people you are talking about are Huaxia people in a sense, but this person is different. I will emphasize for the last time, he is not a Huaxia person. He is a citizen of the United States Empire. And he has been for 5 years. As an official stationed in Huaxia, I have the right to apply for protection for a citizen of the United States Empire. Even if you want to restrict him, he has to come back with me to the consulate to do some investigation. What I want is also in accordance with the rules. He did have the right. But he definitely didn't just want to do it. The leader had no reason to refuse his request. But Qin Wan didn't agree. Once the person was taken away, the United States would use all kinds of methods to cause trouble. The simplest method was to make the legend pretend to be sick. Then they would use the excuse that Huaxia Hospital couldn't save him and send him back to the United States. If Huaxia didn't agree, they would use human rights to make an issue out of it. The United States had used human rights as a pretense to make an issue out of it. There were a lot of them. So Qin Wan definitely wouldn't let them use tricks to solve problems and troubles. If you have any questions to ask the suspect, you can solve them here. We can provide you with convenience, but you can't take him away, Qin Wan said firmly. Taking him back to solve problems is my right. Harris also emphasized, I have this right. You'd better be clear about this. Good news, good news. The extras of Monster Soldier King were being prepared. With the story of the Dragon's Fury Special Forces as the main storyline, they were going to send it to everyone through the official WeChat account of Pen Spirit Sleepwalking. The official WeChat account of the Pen Spirit Sleepwalking official WeChat account is starting to operate. Everyone can follow it and reply with any keyword to read the latest free original chapter of the Dragon Fury team and participate in WeChat discussions. There is a benefit for following the Pen Spirit Sleepwalking official WeChat account. You can send Alipay password red packets from time to time. It will be a benefit for everyone. The steps to follow the official WeChat account are as follows. Open WeChat, click on the upper right corner, click on Add Friend, click on WeChat, enter QQ276432835, or Pen Spirit Sleepwalking, search follow. Chapter 3767. This time, Harris's attitude was firm. If you don't let me take him away today, I will immediately ask the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to condemn you. Things will get out of hand. Harris stared at the leader and had no intention of backing down. Do you know how bad it will be for your career if you lose control of this? In any place in the world, the bigger the role of the leader, the heavier the burden on his shoulders and the more things he had to consider. When facing a scoundrel, if you also used a scoundrel's way to deal with them, it would be no different from being a scoundrel. Indeed, if the American consulate issued a special certificate and wanted to cause trouble, the leaders in Xinjiang would have a hard time dealing with it. After all, international diplomacy required respect. Although respect was mutual, China was a country with 5,000 years of civilization. It had always been particular about winning people with virtue. A country of etiquette had to be reasonable. Even in the face of rascals, they would use the form of repaying evil with good to solve the problem. Therefore, Harris's confidence was not without reason. He always had a way to get the person to the consulate and use some hard rules to force the issue. No one doubted that the Americans had the ability to do so. Although the leader's attitude was firm, he also knew that it was meaningless to argue with Harris on this matter. Instead, it would give this guy a lot of opportunities to criticize them. This was a situation he had to consider. For the sake of the big picture, the leader felt that it was better to let him take the person away for now. Then, they would hold a meeting as soon as possible to find a way to detain him again. In fact, the current situation was very delicate. The leader felt that it was necessary to take a step back and hand the person over to the American consulate. Then, he would explain the situation to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and present persuasive evidence. He would immediately apply for the official arrest of a legendary battle pet warrior. As long as this document was settled, it would be useless for Harris to use diplomatic means. Therefore, this method of taking a step back was indeed a good idea. He is a citizen of the American Empire. As long as you take out all the official documents, we can escort him to your consulate first, the city leader said. But if you use this method of ordering us, we will definitely not cooperate. No. No matter what they do, they can't take him away. Qin Wan panicked. She didn't understand why the city leaders wanted to take a step back in order to advance. The director frowned and pulled Qin Wan behind him. Since the leader is here, we should follow the leader's decision. This is for the sake of the overall situation. The leader thinks about long-term things. You don't have the final say in this matter. I don't care how you think about it. I only know that it's not that simple. We can't think about it that simply. Qin Wan said, if the leader is really thinking about the big picture, then we can't let them take him away. The city leader understood Qin Wan's anxiety. Deputy Director Qin, I understand your concern, but they can indeed take him to the consulate to record him. Of course, our laws stipulate that before his case is resolved, he is not allowed to leave Huaxia. Even if he went to the U.S. consulate, he would still be on our soil. Qin Wan was a little emotional. Leader, are you just thinking about your own career? Are you really afraid that an American woman will affect your career? Qin Wan, what nonsense are you talking about? The director was anxious when he heard that. He thought that Qin Wan-er would be calmer than before after being the deputy director for a year. He didn't expect that she could still say such reckless words under such circumstances. Am I wrong? Qin Wan-er didn't seem to care about anything else. Don't you know how many tricks they have? The city leader was silent. He was a little unhappy. After all, Qin Wan-er talked back to him in front of Harris. There were so many people on the scene. They were all his subordinates. Being talked back by Qin Wan-er like that, he definitely lost his face. Qin Wan-er, I order you to shut up. From now on, you are not responsible for this. The director was furious. Although Man Yu was a blabbermouth, she wasn't in the mood to argue. Qin Wan-er had said what she needed to say. Man Yu knew that she should try to help Qin Wan-er control her emotions. Otherwise, it would really affect her. Man Yu didn't care about her job, but she hoped that Qin Wan-er would continue to do it. Because the post of the People's Police needed people like her. Man Yu, take her away. The director ordered Man Yu. Man Yu nodded and said to Qin Wan-er, calm down. Are you also on their side? Qin Wan-er stared at Man Yu. Man Yu shook her head and said in front of everyone, no, I am on your side. I think what you did was right. But now you need to calm down. In fact, Man Yu had another idea in her mind, which was Su Yun. Now that the legendary battle pet warrior was with Su Yun, who among these people could take him away from Su Yun? Just by relying on those useless people from the U.S. consulate? It was absolutely impossible. Man Yu had confidence in Su Yun. So, she felt that Qin Wan-er didn't need to make the situation so tense. Things hadn't developed to that point yet. Director, you said that I am not responsible for this. So, I won't be responsible for it? Qin Wan-er said, I have been investigating Chuanshan's case since the beginning. I investigated it bit by bit. The case was traced to the casino in Macau. Then, Chuanshan and his son were involved. How much money have I recovered for the country? How many corrupt people have been involved in this case? You know it clearly. Now you are saying that I am not responsible for this case? The director also knew that he was in the wrong. But he didn't want Qin Wan-er to treat the city leader with that attitude. I mean the same as Man Yu. I just want you to calm down. Don't misunderstand. The director changed his words. The case is still yours. But now, you don't have to participate in this situation. Impossible. Qin Wan-er immediately rejected the idea. Other than me, no one else from the United States can take him away. Although the city leader was a little embarrassed and angry, he was still very sure of Qin Wan-er's work attitude. Deputy Director Qin, I admire your work attitude. I believe that the Public Security Department needs talents like you. The city leader said, but please believe me. I am not a traitor. If I dare to give the person to them, I will have a way to catch him again. This is Huaxia. It is our country. I will not let the U.S. do whatever they want in our country. It was a beautiful statement. The city leader also thought the same in his heart. He was indeed not a traitor. His position on this matter was very firm. It was also for the sake of Huaxia. But he and Qin Wan-er thought in a different direction, so they did things in different ways. That was why there was a conflict. Everyone's goal was the same. They were all positive. It was just that their positions were different. Under the same situation, there would be differences. This situation was very normal. Conflicts like this often happened in daily life. I am also very clear that I do not trust the U.S. Qin Wan-er said, let me ask you. If the legend is taken away by them, and they just enter the U.S. consulate, Harris tells you that the U.S. citizen is seriously ill and wants to go back to China for treatment. What will you do? Qin Wan-er's words were very sharp. This question made everyone silent. No one could answer. If we don't agree, the U.S. people will use human rights to attack Huaxia. This is what they like to do. Qin Wan-er said, if we agree, as long as the legend is sent back to the US, it will be almost impossible for us to catch him. No one wanted to see this situation. No one wanted to see it happen. But as long as the legend was taken away, this situation would most likely happen. At that time, no one could do anything. They could only watch. The city leader was also stumped by Qin Wan-er's question. The US people will not do such a despicable thing. Harris said disapprovingly. They were always sanctimonious. They said one thing, but their actions were different. The US was originally such a country. Not to mention the foreign affairs officials of this country. Qin Wan-er obviously did not believe a single word of Harris's. Here's a benefit for those of you who follow my books. I'll be sending red packets to my WeChat account from time to time along with the text. Those who follow my account can try their luck and fight for it. If everyone is happy, I'll be happy too. The more people follow the account, the more frequent the red packets will be. You're tuning in to the Narrate and Escape YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.